Hello, 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 hello. I am your androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades, and this is the Neon Caster Twitch channel. Hi, 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 hello. I hope everybody is doing well. I have decided to come very glamorous today. We are looking very futuristic. We can get more futuristic than that. You know, we can increase our futurism level. We're getting even more futuristic. Oh yes, we have the visor. The visor, we're looking that, and no, we can get more futuristic than that even still. Oh yes, we have the UV. We have the UV look. Let's go. Nice. Hi everybody. I hope you are all doing absolutely delightfully. I hope you're all looking glamorous today. Why are we? Enough of this. I can't actually see in these. These are not prescription. Why are we looking so futuristic today? Why are we looking so futuristic today? Well, we have something very, very amazing that I was given in the mail. We've been, actually, gosh. I mean, you've not seen me stream for a week. I just realized you haven't seen me for an entire week because we took last week off work. Both my regular day job and this as well. Just wanted to kind of take some time with my partner, but now that week is over and we are back in action, hitting it hard. We did a lot of things in that week off, including marching through the hail because it has been storming the last number of days to go pick up something from a delivery point. To pick up this. It doesn't look like anything because I've removed my address from atop the box. Partners abandoned, content only. Yeah. No, exactly. It was actually really funny because when I was told that this had arrived, and I was like, oh man, I need to go pick this up. Partner of mine, would you be okay? Just kind of like hanging out while I go get this. And he was like, no, I'll come with you. He's like, are you sure? It's not that far away, but it is raining really hard outside. And he's like, yeah, I'll come with you. It's fine. Hailing, I tell you. VTubers cannot have partners. Well, it's fine because I'm not a digital construct. Yeah, this is not my AI assistant, my game show host assistant, caster speaking. This is Nathan Blades, the flesh and blood human in perfect makeup. Who has a partner, so it's fine. I got away with it. Idle rules. But yes, we got this pelted. It was worth it because we got, what we have inside. We have so many magic cards. Wizards of the Coast Europe sent me so many booster packs. They sent me so many things. They sent me a lot of cards. They even sent me that little acrylic standee up there. Oh yes, the cape. The cape has a very elaborate lining, by the way. It has a very funky cyberpunk lining. Yeah. As a result, we do not have the green screen today because the green screen plays horribly with how holographic this cape is. But yes, we were given all of these to go and open up live on air, which we will be doing. Hold on. Oh god, because there's so much. We'll have to wiggle around. Also, sorry for this camera quality being more old school. We have a 2-camera setup. You know the stream that we did, I guess now a week and a bit ago, just over a week ago, where we were doing Gunpla. Oh, I finished that, by the way. I finished it off air. Rakusho, my very first plastic kit, my very first Gunpla is completed. Yes. It looks cool. Metabot! Yeah. It came together. It looks sick. This is the first one I've ever built. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad that I my very first Robo Crush. I understand. The voice acting for Rakusho was very good. I think I did a good job. I think me making a lot of tabletop miniatures has given me practice to make something like that. Anyway, we did that on air, or at least most of it on air. And it was experimenting a new camera setup, and it was okay. But we have improved the camera setup by doing a couple of things. One, we switched the cameras around, so the good camera is now pointing at my table. In fact, let's go and put over. Yes, the good camera is now pointing at the table, so you can see my fresh nail polish job. Yes, indeed. This is much more robust. So we'll be opening our cards here, and yes. Let's see. Let's go and put some vibes on, because obviously this screen doesn't have any vibes. Putting on vibes is very, very important. And then we'll go through all the stuff that we got. Hold on. Let's start with the Mega Man Battle Network vibe. Okay. This should be okay in my ears. It's okay in my ears. Let me know if this is too low or too high against my voice. Let me know. But yes, we've got a number of a little low. Okay, cool. We can boost that. Okay, that should be better. Thank you. That's better. We've got some collector boosters. Whoop! Oh my gosh. We've got some draft boosters. We have some rummaging. Yeah. Some set boosters. I'll explain what the difference is between all of these, because there is actually quite sizable difference between all of these. It's quite complicated. We have a pre-release pack. And we also have a commander deck. Oh god, it's so big. I thought I had enough desk space for all of this. Suddenly realizing how long it's been since we last played. Yes, so the way that Magic as a company has, like, I guess, marketed their stuff, we also have a commander deck. So that is a thing that we've gotten as well. And finally, to top it all off, we have Japanese candy. So I might eat some of this Japanese candy once we get in. It has like the kind of like gummy center, which is actually the kind of candy I like. I quite like the ones with the squishy center. Anyway. Oh my god. Oh, we have more than that. I didn't remove the sweets before, so there's another thing in here. We also have... Oh, I didn't realize this. Oh shit. We also have, you know that we played the visual novel a couple weeks back. We also have some of the characters and some of the backdrops as stickers. And then we have the physical demo. Yeah. We actually have a physical copy. Like it's genuinely 2006. Heck yeah. Amazing. On the back. Experience the world of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty as an Imperial Samurai tasked with an important mission. Featuring 3 thrilling acts. It's a plastic case. It's a plastic case. It's not a jewel case. I might actually see if I can get a jewel case and put this in it. That's cool. This is very old school. I used to do video game reviews some time ago, and we would get review discs in all sorts of like really cheap packaging, mostly designed so you couldn't go to like, excuse me, so you couldn't go to like Computer Exchange and then just trade it in, because obviously it was not a game you bought. Sometimes I saw those kind of like rough and ready copies anyway, so clearly some CXs did not give a toss. But this is cool. I didn't realize we got these as well. That's so rad. So yeah, thank you very much, Wizards of the Coast Europe, Magic the Gathering Europe, for sending all this stuff over. Right, let's put some of this to the side. Sorry, we're gonna put the candy and the stickers and everything to the side, but we're gonna go through first of all what the Hickety Hop Heck draft boosters, set boosters, and collectors boosters are. Hey, Nits and Crits, good evening, good evening. Bournemouth CX was just full of promo copies of games they did not care. Yeah, no, for real. So, Magic the Gathering as of late has really expanded the range of kind of ways that they sell new cards, mostly because in the more recent Magic the Gathering sets, alternate arts and everything are a really big deal. One of the big draws to the new sets, in addition to obviously what kind of theming and stuff in there, way that they draw people in is by having alternate arts and alternate card art designs. And because they're doing that, they have released lots of new booster types that have more focus on those kind of things. So let's start off with the draft boosters. The draft boosters are what you are familiar with. Hi, Regular Joe. Hi, Regular Joe. Yes, here for the rats. We're going to be pulling a lot of rats. We're going to hopefully be pulling a lot of rats. There's a lot of cool rats in this set. Oh my gosh. Hi, Tiffany Witcher. Thank you for the raid. Thank you for the raid. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are opening a whole bunch of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty boosters given to us by Magic. Thank you for the follow, just Josh one. Yeah, Vice Schwartz and a lot of different card games have been doing alternate art bits and pieces, and I think because of that kind of draw, Magic has been doing themselves. Anyway, draft boosters are probably what you're familiar with if you've been playing Magic the Gathering back in the day. This is what a normal booster is like. It has actually a really rigid set of what is in it. It will usually have 2 set specific cards, 1 rare or mythic rare, some uncommons and 9 commons, you know, a standard spread. If you were to go to Friday Night Magic and you were intending to open a booster pack to play games with directly, you would probably be opening draft boosters. So this is what you're regularly familiar with. Hi, Tiffany. I hope you've also had a very good stream. I never know how to respond when people go and raid me and kind of do my show and also say hi to everybody, because I do absolutely appreciate you joining us. Please do follow Tiffany Witcher, is an incredible also VTuber, black voice actor VTuber who does a lot of astounding charity work. Please give them respect. Also Black Excellence. Yes, yes, yes. Set boosters. Okay, so say you like opening packs, but you're not especially interested in directly playing games with them directly. This is what set boosters are purportedly for. These come with a card that is entirely just artwork. So it has no rules text on it. You can't really use it in a game. It's like a promo card, but it has really big art on it. So if you really like the artwork in the set, and it will usually be the artwork of the special alternate art cards, there'll be one of those. I think the ratios of rares are a bit different in this as well. Set boosters tend to contain more rares and mythic rares than normal draft boosters, but it is not a guarantee. Oh, thank you very much. It's let's see if I recall. It is a blue from Gamer Geek oh no. I can't remember the name of the brand. How embarrassing. People gonna compliment me on my makeup and I can't remember. A lot of what I'm wearing is from Gamer Glam Cosmetics. There's this palette that is shaped like a game controller and has lots of spacey colors that I like to wear. So Gamer Glam Cosmetics does a liquid lipstick as well. That's named after all their liquid lipsticks are named after Sonic the Hedgehog characters. It's wild. Anyway, set boosters, yes. They theoretically, not always, contain more rares and mythic rares than draft boosters. There's an increased chance. In addition to the kind of art card and kind of special additional cards. They'll usually have more cards that are in the kind of specific themings of the set and in alternate arts and things like that. Finally, there are collector boosters. Collector boosters are actually really expensive. The fact that they have sent me 5 of them, actually they sent me 6 and I opened one because I was like, oh my god, they've sent me really expensive cards. I need to open one for just myself. So they sent me 6 of these and I've opened one. It's fine. You don't need to see that way. Yes, these are quite expensive. What they have are mostly foil cards. They will usually contain more of the alternate arts and stuff like full arts and things like that. The ratios of kind of rares is slightly increased as well, maybe, and sometimes you will find cards that are not things you can just open in regular draft boosters at all. There are some cards in here that you just can't get in regular draft boosters. So you have different tiers of how much you are willing to spend. I would say personally, especially because we are now in an era where surprise mechanics, where loot boxes, where gacha games are a really large part of gaming today, to kind of encourage people to spend more money on the risk of gambling, right? And some people are comfortable and able to do that without, if they don't have an addictive personality, are able to do stuff like open boosters without feeling compelled to open more. But that's not everybody. So I do encourage you that if you are interested in the cards that I open up on stream and you would like some for yourself, I would recommend buying some draft boosters to play with your friends in person. You can play a wide variety of different ways. How I like to play with draft boosters is opening, everybody gets like 4 to 6 of them. They open up those cards themselves and build a 40 card deck with that. That's what this is, by the way. Pre-release packs are 6 sets of these to be able to open and then build a deck with and play with other people. So this is a great way if you don't know what cards you want in the set, but just want to try it out. See if you can go to your local game store and buy a pre-release pack. Sometimes they'll even have pre-release packs of the older sets. Hi, Tommy Hi-Rays. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for catching one of my streams. I really appreciate it. We're going to be opening up a whole bunch of cards today. So yes, if you don't know any of these cards and want to try and play yourself, I do recommend playing with the draft boosters. If you are the kind of like a collector, like you want to go and find some nice cards, but you're not looking for full sets, you might want to go find a set booster because you're going to be getting the experience of these, but you might be getting some extra bling, you know? I would not recommend buying collector's boosters unless you had a lot of disposable income. You will not guarantee that you pull something super valuable in these. These will all be foil, but they will not necessarily be expensive or rare foils. In most instances, if there is cards you specifically know you want, buy singles. The singles economy is the most efficient way of getting specific cards that you want to build decks with. They will be pretty. These cards will be pretty, but they will not be cheap. And I don't want you necessarily to be spending lots of money on things that you might be disappointed on, because I've been there where I have spent money on opening lots of boosters, hoping to go and pull really rare cards when really I could have just spent that money to buy the single card I wanted, you know? So please open packs responsibly. We're not encouraging you to gamble with your wallet on cards you may or may not get. With that said out of the way, let's open some packs. Shall we start with the kind of like regular draft boosters first, or shall we start with it? Actually, yeah, let's start with the regular boosters first, so you can kind of see what's in these kind of things, and then we can see comparatively what we open in the other sets. Let's do that, because we have a lot of we have a lot of these to go through, and I'm probably going to be talking a lot. I apologize. While I go, please, if you are somebody who is new to Magic the Gathering and you have questions, please do ask questions in chat because I will need things to talk about while opening all of these. Shouldn't blow your tax refund on packs? No, you absolutely should not. Okay. So we start off with a whole bunch of commons. I should be opening it this way. Sorry, opening these upside down is going to be a thing. We're going to get about 9 or so commons. We're going to get like 3 or so like uncommons, a rare, and then like usually some lands and like a bonus foil. So I've opened this one out so you can kind of see what's in this in terms of the anatomy of a regular booster pack. So usually when you're opening these, you're only going to be guessing 1 rare unless you're especially lucky. So let's see what we've got here. We have Nizumi Blade Master, who is a rat samurai. Finding the best way to do this. You're not going to be able to read the text, unfortunately. This camera. Ben Ironwolf, hello. Thank you for joining us. You're not going to be able to read the text on these. I will have to read the text, but it means you'll have to be looking at it upside down. I'm sorry. Oh god, what is that? Because if I read every card, my voice is gonna go absolutely hoarse. So maybe we'll maybe I'll be reading out cards when we run into interesting ones. Let's do it that way. If you have any advice of how you would like me to go through this, please do let me know how you would prefer, because I've never done any pack openings before and I have no idea how to go and handle this. I was told there's Street Fighter cards. Are you getting them? Okay. Summary of the cards. Okay, we can do that. We'll go through these commons and then I'll answer that question, Ben Ironwolf, because it's an important card. So Nezumi Blade Blesser, who is a rat samurai. This is a card that cares about artifact cards. Artifact cards are ones like this. They have a gray metallic border and say artifact, not that that's easy to read. This is a game that is all about the kind of like, a futuristic setting. So artifacts are really important in Neon Kamigawa, as it's lots of bits of types of tech that you can augment yourself with. So this card cares about artifacts. When there are artifacts that I have played on the field, this thing has Death Touch. Death Touch means that whenever it attacks another creature, it does enough damage to kill it immediately, regardless of how much damage this thing does and regardless of how much health the other thing has. So Death Touch can be really, really powerful. It can make your opponent really scared to block with creatures because it doesn't want to lose those creatures to the thing with Death Touch. It also has Menace, as long as you control an enchantment. Let's see if there's an enchantment in here that I can show you. Oh, there isn't. Here's an enchantment. This is an enchantment. Not all enchantments look like this. They have lots of different things going on about them, but enchantments are ones that you are essentially, well, as the name suggests, it's a magical effect that is played upon the field or a player or a creature. This game is very much about nature versus technology. So a lot of the cards in this set are about comparing artifacts, which are, artificial technology things, with enchantments, which are magical, nature-based things. So there's a big balance between these two. This card cares about both artifacts and enchantments. Okay, very long-winded explanation. Let's go and flip through a couple of other cards here, because there was a very interested one that I want to show. Tawashi Song Shaper. Yes. This is my favorite art. This is my favorite artwork in the set. Look at this DJ. Look at this DJ spinning the wheels of steel and using like a mech suit to do it. Oh my god. When they announced this card art, loads of people who were like really traditionalist about Magic the Gathering being really high fantasy were like, what has happened to my beloved game? This isn't the Magic the Gathering I remember. And I'm just sitting here being like, yes, this looks like a Netrunner card. Amazing. I love it. So this is another card. This is actually an enchantment creature. You can tell because it's got the metallic border along the edge. It also says artifact creature along the top here. I know it's blurry, I apologize. So this is both a creature and an artifact. So, for example, if I had, we're explaining the mechanics as we go, if I had both of these on the field, because this is an artifact, this would also have Death Touch. High fantasy, Droil has a robotic rocking toolbox. Oh, there are a number of sci-fi arcs that this game has had. What are some other interesting? This card is it's okay in terms of its effect. This card is basically designed where if you get into combat, you cast this card on one of your creatures. If it gets into combat and dies or otherwise dies for any reason, it comes back, which is why it says return to action. But I really love the neon glow artwork. I really like the artwork of this set. This is probably one of my favorite things about the set, is the nice blend of like futuristic and fantasy that this has. I know that Shadowrun has been around for a while, but I really like this approach a little bit more. Maybe because I'm a gigantic weeb and this is more anime, that is probably why. But let's see. Let's go into the uncommons here. We have two uncommons, or three. We had three, but it's fine. We have a Roadside Reliquary. A very calm looking like shrine by the side of the road. This is a land, so there are lots of let's see, in Magic the Gathering, to be able to cast anything, you need lands. I definitely want to run Cyborg when it comes out. Yes, me too. I've started to, because the kind of Morkborg genre of tabletop RPG has become really, really big in the indie tabletop community. And I've played Morkborg now, it's on our channel. And the thing I enjoyed about Morkborg was nothing really about the aesthetics or the setting of Morkborg. It was the sci-fi stuff that Tom, friend of the show, put on the game. And me playing it with my friends, I enjoyed that more than any of the mechanics, right? So I'm like, I'm glad that this is a game that's really easy to write for, but there's nothing inherently about Morkborg that's super interesting to me. Anyway, to be able to cast cards, you see that there's a little cost in the corner here. This one says 4 in blue, meaning that you need 5 mana to be able to cast this card, 4 of anything, and 1 of an island blue. Like this. But sometimes there are special lands that, in addition to tapping for mana, they do something particularly interesting on top of it. This one in particular, you can sacrifice it, meaning you throw it into the graveyard, and you can draw a card if you control an artifact, and you can draw a card if you control an enchantment. So you can already see, we've only opened 1 booster pack so far, and you can already see some of the themes that have come across in this set so far. This set really cares about artifacts and really cares about enchantments and does different things depending on whether you have them or not. Let's look at the rare card. Let's look at the rare card in this booster as I go and clear these away. Cloud Steel Kirin. So this is one of the alternate art cards. It has pretty anime art. So a lot of the main artwork has been done by a lot of the regular designers for Magic the Gathering. There was a pool of graphical artists that Wizards of the Coast will repeatedly approach to do artwork of games. And for this set specifically, a lot of the alternate art has been done by Japanese artists. Some of these Japanese artists actually do card art for other trading card games. So there's some like Card Fight Vanguard artists that have done artwork in here. I think there's a couple of artists who have done have done artwork of like who've done the character models for like VTubers and things like that. So it's really interesting how they have been embracing. I guess I'm really glad that this is a set about fantasy Japan, but they're actually putting money in the pockets of Japanese creatives to put this set together. That's cool. Really dipping into that theme of traditional magic versus new technology. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I need to return to Ben Ironwall's question before. Thank you for waiting, Ben. I was told that there are Street Fighter cards. Yes, yes. So, Magic the Gathering, one of the other ways that they've been doing bits and pieces as of late in terms of kind of like drumming up interest in the card game, has been doing something called Secret Lairs. These are really, really limited run printings of cards. Usually it is existing cards that they have given an additional like spin in terms of its artwork and design. Sometimes those cards would be quite expensive on their own, and these cards are also expensive, but they have some extra bling. It's that kind of thing. So it's alternate special shiny versions of cards you might already know and might already want. However, recently they have been designing entirely new cards that use other properties. So they demoed this a while ago with having cards based around The Walking Dead, and then after that cards based around Stranger Things. And recently they are now doing these new cards that are based around Street Fighter, which they've released in announcement with the fact that Street Fighter 6 is now a thing. That was announced this morning. It is quite cool, and for people who aren't into Magic the Gathering, has been a really interesting way of getting them on board. However, these cards that they've introduced, because they are entirely new and they have only been available in this limited run, it means that you need to be able to shell out the money for these cards to be able to use them. And if you can't shell out the money, then you just can't get those cards for an affordable rate. And people kicked up a massive fuss about that. And actually, understandably, I would too. Then there's a lot about trading card games is when it comes to especially games like this. In some formats, some ways of playing the game, it's all about how much money you have to spend on getting the best cards. And people have kind of made peace with that, but the cards are just generally available. Once the card's been printed, it's usually printed in significant numbers here, where if anybody wants a specific card and they have the money for it, they can get it. But for this kind of limited run secret rare, after they've sold the copies that were pre-ordered, you can't get the card anymore. So people were really upset about that. They have actually gone back on that now. And all of the cards that have unique text and are based on like Stranger Things and that will be reprinted down the line with more Magic the Gathering themed naming and stuff like that, but will have the rules text of those exclusive cards. So even if you're not into Street Fighter, you can get that Street Fighter card at some point in the future. We don't know when that's being released. I must admit, I have been like, I don't really want to, I'm not in the position to shell out any of the money for the Secret Lair cards. Saw those Street Fighter ones and went, they're cool though. I'm still not buying them. That's not for me. That's not a Nathan Blades thing, but they are very, very cool. If you are somebody who is into Street Fighter and maybe wants to get into Magic the Gathering, buying those is a way to get yourself some really, actually quite interesting and powerful cards and introduce yourself to the game. Anyway, we've opened one of these packs. Let's go. There are a lot of these, so I have a feeling I'm not going to open all of these like on air. I think at least for these, we're not going to open all of these on air because these are like the normal ones, and we want to see what's inside the exciting ones. We'll open one more of these regular draft boosters. Open one more of these regular draft boosters, and maybe if we have some additional time at the end, we'll go back and open some of the other packs that we didn't. I can see Pixie by them just have Street Fighter cards. Yes. Pixie is definitely the kind of person that would like that kind of bonus merch. She's more of a Tekken kind of person though. She's always been a big Tekken player rather than a Street Fighter one. So let's see what we've got here. We've got Master's Rebuke. This is an instant card. We've got somebody counter-hitting somebody else. We've got Imperial Subduer. So this is again one of the alternate art cards. This game, this particular set has a lot of samurai and a lot of ninjas. And I think every card that has a samurai archetype, so this is a human samurai, every samurai has a alternate art that has the manga style art, but also like the special border. So we have Imperial Subduer. We have Moonsnare Specialist, who is a ninja. This is the regular kind of card art style. I really love the neon blue on this one. I used this in the pre-release. I played a pre-release last week after last. About a week ago. I actually did quite well. That's quite funny. I'll talk about that. So I go to pre-releases to kind of see what the new cards are like. Mnemonic Sphere. I guess this is kind of like a kind of send-up of Johnny Mnemonic. So a lot of these cards are also big references to other cyberpunk media. So Johnny Mnemonic has, I think that's probably a reference in there. But I normally go to pre-releases just to see what the new cards are like, to have a few games, not really out to win. But I was actually doing quite well. We played 3 rounds over the course of that session, and I won my first 2 actually quite handily, and got to my third. And it was somebody who'd also won all of their matches, and they were kind of like, I always win. I'm really good at Magic the Gathering. I've been to all these pre-releases. I know how to build a good deck. Yeah, whatever. So he was actually really dismissive. I kind of sat down. He's like, oh, you won all your games too? That's nice. And I'm like, okay. And actually, while we were playing, he was talking to his friends and kind of talking about what card games they would be, what cards they'd be trading. Not fun to play against. Yeah. He was quite self-assured. I won the first match really quickly. And watching this person visibly sweat against, he was like not expecting me to be particularly good at all because he'd never seen me before. I'd never met him. He was clearly a regular, so he was clearly mostly interested in playing against people who he knew was good, and because he couldn't rate me, he assumed I was going to be bad. But I whipped him so fast in that first round. Yeah. It was sweating, flop sweat. And the funny thing is, Undercity Scrounger is actually a good card. I'll talk about that in a second because it's all quite interesting. This card here, this is a ninja. Most of the ninjas in this set, I'm afraid you can't quite read it very well, but they have a special effect called ninjutsu. Ninjutsu works where when you're about to go into the combat phase against your opponent, when you're going to be playing a card, say I was playing Imperial Subduer on the field and it's my turn, I'm about to attack with her. So to attack with a card, you turn it to the side to say that they're attacking. That's called tapping the card. and my opponent has no way to block this card or decides not to block this card. So this is about to go and deal damage to the opponent. What I can then do is pay the ninjutsu cost of this card, in which case is 2 generic and 1 blue. And instead, this samurai leaps back to my hand, and instead the Moon Snare Specialist is tapped and attacking instead. The opponent doesn't know that I have a ninja in my hand, so they didn't know that I was going to potentially swap out what was on the field with the thing in my hand. So ninjutsu basically works like surprise, like they've thrown a smoke bomb down and a ninja has appeared. When the ninja appears, it usually has a special effect of when it does damage or when it appears on the field. Because there's no blockers, there's nothing blocking this card, so this effect is going to go through. The card specifically says on it, return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. Does that make sense? I'll check, because this is a very... this is a lot of words all at once, but does that explanation make sense in terms of me playing the ninja from my hand, replacing a card on the field, and it is placed tapped and attacking? Does that make sense? Because this is important. While people confirm, I'll go take a sip of water. Lego Ninjago. I mean, same energy, same energy. I think Lego Ninjago is the same energy of this being like future ninjas. It was never until Lego that, but that makes sense. Glad it does. Glad it makes sense. So this guy who was all kind of like, oh, I'm so good at this game. I've played this game a whole bunch. I've won all my matches. He says to me, as he plays a ninja first, oh, the ninjas come to play untapped. They are untapped. When you're tapped, you can't block any attacks because it's like you've exhausted yourself attacking. So cards that are untapped can block attacks. He says to me, oh, ninjas come into play untapped. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Huh, I thought they came into play tapped. And he's like, no, they come into play untapped. And he's telling me this because he's played a ninja and then can block with the ninja next turn. What he doesn't know, because this was during the first round, is that my deck is all about ninjas. I have a lot of ninjas in my deck. Them coming into play untapped is really beneficial to me. That is super useful. So I'm just sitting there twirling my hair being like, oh my God, you're so smart. I didn't know that. You're so good at this card game for children. And then I beat him really quickly. I might not have beat him so quickly if he had read the card and did what the card actually said. Reading the card explains the card. Anyway. Anyway, thirst for knowledge. Let's look at the rare of this card. Ooh, Mech Hanger. This is interesting. So we haven't seen one yet, but there are vehicles in this set. Captain Hurricane, you're going to be a fan of this. You can basically summon mechs in this set. I know that you're popping out your coding and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there are mechs in this set. In fact, there is specifically a card where you can make a Power Ranger Megazord. We'll see if we can pull it. What is the rare card in this set? Shigeki Jukai Visionary is the rare card in this pack. It is a snake druid, and it says I can pay 1 in green to return Shigeki Jukai Visionary to my hand, so I can take it from the battlefield back to my hand. I can reveal the top 4 cards of my deck and put a land card from it onto the field tapped. So green cards are really good at playing additional lands, so you can cast bigger things way faster. So this card is really good at letting you do that. It also has the ability to, if it is in my hand, I can play, a lot of mana and discard it. So rather than putting it on the field, I can pay some mana and discard it to return non-legendary cards from my graveyard back to my hand. So I can do lots of things with this. If I have it on the battlefield, I can return it to my hand and put some land onto the field. Or I can put it into my graveyard and return cards that were from my graveyard back to my hand again if somebody had killed it. So this card's quite useful. This is a useful card, Okay. We've opened some draft boosters. We see what kind of things are normally in a booster pack, so we understand what kind of things are. Let's start opening set boosters. So these are the ones that have more of the alternate card arts. The first card in it is an art card, so it has no mechanics, it's just pretty. And there is a chance for more rares, a chance for more rares. So let's go take a look. Ooh, ah. So, look, this is our art card. Oh, you can't really see the finer details in that, but it is a big kind of like dragon rising above a swamp. Very pretty. And it gives you the kind of card information about who's the artist and stuff on the back. So this is the art for Echo of Death's Wail. Very pretty. And we also have Thornwood Falls. You should take pictures of the prettiest cards and put them on Twitter. Yeah. No, I'll definitely be putting the pictures of the... Oh, this one's good. This is one of the alternate artworks of Upriser Renegade, a human samurai. Look at that pompadour. Yeah, look at him. Ah, very cool. A lot of the samurais have a special effect of if there is a samurai attacking on its own, it does a special effect. This one... it gets more powerful for other modified creatures you control. So modified in this set, art card is Gru. I'm not quite sure what Gru is, I'm afraid. Sorry. The banana haircut. He's got the big Bancho pompadour. Yeah. Like Yosuke Higashitaka from part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So modified creatures are anything that's had something added to it. So if it's got some +1/+1 counters on it, which is raising the power and toughness down there, that counts as modified. If you've enchanted it with an enchantment spell, it counts as modified. If you've attached equipment to it, it counts as modified. So this set, you know how I was saying earlier that the set is a large part of it is enchantments and artifacts mattering. Modified is another way. Grew from Despicable Me. I see. I have never watched a Despicable Me movie. I have flashbacks from Bo every time I see this haircut. For sure. A lethal exploit. Virus Beetle. So the way that this setting handles the idea of computers is quite interesting. It seems to be computers aren't quite a thing. It's mostly like imbuing inert, like non-organic objects with enchantment magic so they act like computers. So this is a beetle that actually delivers a virus effect. It is a black art, so it's a black artifact. It is a black artifact insect. This card, whenever Virus Beetle enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. So when this enters the battlefield, all the other players who are playing have to remove a card from their hands and put it in the graveyard. Its flavor text says they'll be debugging their code for days before they figured out what happened. So this is said by Ita, Futurist Agent. So this is a technological ninja of some kind using a beetle imbued with malicious code to destroy something, which is a very evocative idea. Spirited Companion, a doggo. I'm not one for dogs, but I know the internet is a big fan of dogs. Very cute Shiba Inu being followed by spirits. Spirited Companion. Whenever Spirited Companion enters the battlefield, draw a card. This is actually an enchantment creature. So again, this is an enchantment. Enchantments matter. This might be, even though it's not an enchantment that you would place on something else, because it counts as an enchantment, it might be able to do all sorts of things as a result. Let's see here. Essence Capture, Discovered the Impossible. I haven't really talked about these kinds of enchantments yet. This is Okiba Reckonerade. So we have a cool looking rat person in a big biker jacket. This type of enchantment does a bunch of things every turn. So each turn, you put a counter on it and it does something new. The first 2 turns that this card is on the field, each opponent loses 1 life and I gain 1 life. And then on the 3rd turn, this card flips over and it is a creature on the back. So it stays as an enchantment for 3 turns, and for 2 turns, and then on the 3rd turn, it turns into Nezumi Road Captain. So we get a zoomed in the back of this cool leather jacket, this biker jacket. And it says that this card has menace, meaning that it needs... So a card that has menace needs to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. It can't just be blocked by 1 creature if it's attacking. And it gives all vehicles I control menace. So if I was running a deck with lots of vehicles, if I was running a deck with lots of motorbikes, with lots of mechs, I could use this card. Loses a life. Yes, yes, yes. So just Sean, in Magic the Gathering, you have life points in Magic the Gathering. You usually in most games, there are some formats where you don't. You have 20 life points. When you hit 0 life points, you are dead and out of the game. You no longer can play. So gaining and losing life is one of the big things that happens in this game. If I was attacking this card, for example, has 2 attack and 2 toughness. If I was attacking an enemy with this card and they didn't block, I would be dealing them 2 damage and they would go down 2 life, if that makes sense. It's just like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Has like 8,000 life points. This runs with 20. Most competitive card games usually have some way of tracking life and damage. Okay. We've also, there are some full art lands in this that have a kind of like Sumie style artwork. There are actually foil versions of these lands and they are so pretty. They're very, very, very pretty. Look, our rare card. Ooh, we have Junji, the Midnight Sky. There are 5 dragons in the set that are of the 5 different colors in Magic the Gathering: white, black, blue, red, and green. This is the black dragon. It is a mythic rare, so it is much rarer. Oh, no problem, no problem. At any point, if there's anything, I know I'm not really explaining the basics of Magic, and I'm just kind of like explaining bits and pieces as we go. So please do stop me if there's something that I have not explained properly, and I'm happy to explain it in more detail. So this card is flying, meaning that it goes over the heads of creatures that don't have flying or don't have reach. It also has menace, and we explained earlier that if you have menace, it needs to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. So the fact that this is flying and menace means that it needs to be blocked by 2 or more creatures with flying or reach, which is actually pretty difficult. So this is probably going to be hitting the opponent quite a lot. And it's got 5 attack and 5 toughness, so it's pretty strong as well. When Junji the Midnight Sky dies, choose 1. Each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. As said before, you have 20 life normally. Or put target non-dragon creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's from a graveyard, so it's not necessarily from my graveyard. I can look in an opponent's graveyard and they've got a good creature and I'm like, oh, I'll be having a bit of that. It's like a good creature. I think that would suit me nicely. Thank you. And you can just steal it if this card dies. You can actually intentionally kill this card off with your own cards to be able to do that. It's a very powerful effect. And then we have a foil card. We've not seen many foil cards, but some cards have a foil treatment. And then we've got like a token at the end. So we got a mythic rare in that pack, but we didn't get anything like super huge. Didn't get anything super huge, but that's the name of the game. Sometimes you open a pack and you don't get super huge things in it. That card sounds pretty insane. Mythic rares tend to be quite powerful. Mythic rares do tend to be quite powerful. I guess I tell a lie. That card was actually pretty good, but I can open mythic rares in regular draft boosters. I had the same odds of opening that card in this rather than buying the more expensive pack, you know what I mean? So we're looking at another full art. This is one of the full, what would be a full art land actually, of kind of like a tiered city with white clouds. Oh, we've got another full art mountain. We've got we got that Nezumi Blade Blesser previously. They are really pretty, really pretty. You saw the Nezumi Blade Blesser that we had previously. Let's go find it. Let's go find it. It was one of the first cards we pulled. So this is what the normal art of the card looks like. And this is the kind of like alternate art done by the various manga artists. Again, sorry that it's slightly blurry. This is as sharp a focus I could get with a camera that's designed for faces and not like tables. Planar Incision, Cyber Trespassers, Moon Circuit Hacker. This is another cool ninja. I quite like this card art. Network Disruptor, Colossal Sky Turtle. This card is an uncommon, so it's not rare, but it's quite powerful. This does quite a few things. Colossal Sky Turtle. It has Ward, which is a new mechanic that I'll explain. Ward basically means that you can't attack this card, or sorry, you can't cast spells that target this card unless you pay the cost. In this case, the person who's trying to cast a spell at this card has to tap 2 extra mana to be able to actually cast a spell at this card. You can also throw it away from your hand to do to return cards from your graveyard or bounce creatures, which is quite interesting. It's quite expensive. If you wanted to play this on the field, it costs 6. It costs 4 generic, 2 green, and 1 blue. So this would take you quite a while to put on the field, but it's quite strong. And if you keep it in your hand instead, you can do other cool tricks like returning stuff from your graveyard to your hand. Let's see, we've got Okiba Salvage. We've got another Saga that flips over, Befriending the Moths, that flips over to a Moth Rider here in the same kind of like Sumie style artwork. We have Go Shintai of Life's Origin. How does the turn system work in this game? Sure. So in a lot of competitive card games, you alternate between my turn and the opponent's turn. Often you play Magic the Gathering normally one-on-one, but there are multiplayer formats where you can play with 3 or maybe 4 players at the same time. During one person's turn, you do a set of things. Pretend the stack of cards is my deck of cards. At the start of my turn, I would be untapping all creatures that had been tapped. So anything that had attacked last turn is ready to attack again. I draw a card from my deck, and then I have 3 phases. I can, in my first main phase, play cards, like playing lands, casting spells, those kind of things. Then we have the combat phase, where I am attacking with my creatures. Then I have a second main phase where I can cast more spells, play more cards. Then I have my end phase, which is then preparing to move over to the opponent. In a 2-player game, obviously it moves between you and your opponent repeatedly over the course of the game, back and forth until one of you runs out of life. In a game where it's more than 2 players, you actually go clockwise around the table, so everybody is having a turn. You might have heard that some of the cards that we played previously have effects that say things like each opponent. So not just your opponent, but each, or target opponent, which means that it does different things if we're playing with multiple players. If a card said target opponent discards a card, how is it determined who goes first? There are many ways. Often when you're playing at like game days, you'll both roll a die. Let's see if I have a die in the roll. Here we go. Here's a nice d20 that we can roll, a 20-sided die. So I might roll and be like, oh, I got a 5. And the opponent rolls and they got like a 14. And so the person who rolled highest can determine whether they go first or second. Some deck designs work better if you go first and some work better if you go second. But to be honest, as long as both players agree, you can decide to go first, or as long as all players agree, you can decide to go first any way you want. You can play rock, paper, scissors if you want. Vicious one-on-one combat using blunt objects is my favorite way of establishing turn order. Hi, Tom. Is it still traditional to not draw if you go first? Yes. If you go first, you don't draw. So sometimes it's better to go second because then it means you get to draw a card as part of your first turn. We actually pulled another mythic rare in this deck, Go Shintai of Life's Origin. It is a shrine, which is quite difficult to see. You can see kind of like the edge of a Torii gate up here. Yeah, there we go. Go Shintai of Life's Origin. It says on it, I have to pay a white, a blue, a black, a red, and a green, and tap this card to return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Meaning that I don't need to like spend additional mana to play the card. It goes just from my graveyard to the battlefield without me having done anything. Whenever Go Shintai of Life's Origin or another non-token shrine enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 color shrine enchantment token, which is a very complicated. This is a very complicated card. There is an archetype that you can build in this set called shrines. Yeah, gotta have some of that Sonic R music in the background, Captain. I just realized that if Wizards of the Coast wants to try and use any of this stream is like promotional material, they kind of can't because they've got video game music running underneath all of it. But to be honest, if they wanted to kind of use this, I would be very surprised. It's fine. We move. Yeah, let's go open another set booster. How long have we been streaming for? Because I'm kind of cognizant of whether this is an entertaining thing for me to do of just opening booster packs. We can let's go open one more set booster and then we'll start opening the collector's boosters. We'll open all of the collector's boosters because they are very shiny. Very, very shiny in many senses. There are plenty of card opening streams. I know, but it's like weird to me, maybe almost. I don't know whether because I've never really watched. Oh, if it's scratching the booster itch, we can continue to do that. This is fine. We have another full art land here of this this samurai lady called Imperial Shudder. Is this particular artwork? We have a regular land. Oh, it's a foil land. Ah, this is one of the NINJI alternate artworks. I'm but a simple robot. You show me a cool picture of an anime ninja, and I'm like, yeah, that's rad. So yeah, we have our Moonsnare Specialist, a Wanderer's Intervention. This is an instant card. I've not explained instant cards yet. So we talked previously about taking turns. And there are actual phases during your turn under which you would play cards, right? Well, instant cards, are really interesting because you can play them whenever you like. You can play instant cards on your opponent's turn. And in fact, a lot of instant cards are designed in a way to interrupt what your opponent is doing to do something else instead, to maybe foil their plans. So Wanderer's Intervention says, Wanderer's Intervention deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So say, for example, we have my opponent has Moonsnare Specialist, and they're tapping to attack me, and they're going to deal me some damage. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to take that 2 damage. What I can do is play Wanderer's Intervention from my hand, paying 1 mana and 1 white mana, so 2 mana in total. And then deal 4 damage to Moonsnare Specialist because it is an attacking creature. It has 2 health and this does 4 damage, so that would be enough to send this to the graveyard out of play before it could deal me damage. So in instant cards can be really, really useful for turning the tables in a moment where you thought that you might get clapped by your opponent. Instant cards are a great way of saying, not today. I'm prepared. Don't come for me with that nonsense. So we've got Spell Pierce, Explosive Entry, Gravelighter. Oh, that's a very pretty card art, actually. What does this card do? I've not seen this card yet. When Gravelighter enters the battlefield, draw a card if a creature died this turn. Otherwise, each player sacrifices a creature. I'm going to play Counterspell. Frowny face. Yeah, I'm gonna play Counterspell. Yeah. Counterspell is the most, I guess, Classic example of an instant spell. It costs 2 blue mana to play, and it says that spell, counter that spell, you don't get to play that spell. It's such a classic example of most cards that counter spells tend to be worse than counter spell in one way or another. Seismic Wave, the Modern Age, which flips over into a little like neon shattered glass sprite, very pretty. The Shattered States Error. Oh, I note that a lot of these Saga cards tend to be artwork with an alternate zoomed in version of that part of the artwork on the back, which is a cool idea. So for example, this piece of artwork that we're looking here is like embedded onto the hilt of a katana. And so on the back of it is like an engraving that might be zoomed in on the katana. Our rare card for this is Myojin of Roaring Blades. This is actually a card that I'm not able to open in a regular booster pack. There's a slightly different symbol on the corner here. You see this little set symbol on the side? It kind of looks like a shield. Most set symbols look like this kind of like mountain with a sun in the corner. So you can get in set boosters sometimes, but not always, special cards that you're not able to find in a regular booster pack. The Myojin of Roaring Blades, the list TM, yes indeed. Myojin of Roaring Blades enters the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it if you cast it from your hand. Remove an... Oh, indestructible is kind of what it suggests. It means that regardless of the amount of damage that you deal to Myojin, this card would not be destroyed as long as it has indestructible. You can remove an indestructible counter from Myojin of the Roaring Blades. It deals 7 damage each to up to 3 targets. So this is a card that appears, it's quite strong on its own and it's invincible and it does a lot on its own, but you can make it not invincible anymore to do a big effect. So if that big effect might clinch you the game, you might remove that indestructible token from Myojin to blow up a bunch of other things to win you the game. Interesting. Oh, we also have a second rare card in this set, in this pack. Raiju, the Storm's Edge, who I am very happy to say is a black samurai. Always happy to go and see. I think this is something that I also quite enjoy. Magic is very good at doing this, in that regardless of where in the world, in like the fantasy world this is set, because across the years Magic the Gathering has done sets that are inspired by lots of different world histories and mythologies, but they have been consistently very good at having like diverse casts racially, which is very cool. So even though that this is a set in Japan where there are fewer black people on average than maybe other places in the world, we've got our black samurai here. Very cool. This is Fro. Raiju, the Storm's Edge. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, untap it. If this is the first combat phase of the turn, there is an additional combat phase after this one. Ooh. And we also have, this is one of the references. Let's see if you understand who the reference is for this card. Silver Fur Master, who is a rat ninja. This card's really good. I've used this card in decks before. It's one of my favorite cards from the set. It's a ninja, so it has ninjutsu. So I am able to play it from my hand, tapped and attacking. With the blue and black. It says ninjutsu abilities you activate cost 1. Yeah, and ninjutsu abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate. So other ninjas are cheaper to put into play off the back of this. So this Silver Fur Master is really good at enabling other ninjas. In fact, other ninja and rogue creatures you control get +1/+1. Yes, Master Splinter from Ninja Turtles. Good guess, Joshua. Yes, indeed. And also Hydra. I'm not quite sure if I remember who Ink Eyes is. I'm sure there is more than one rat ninja in the Ninja Turtles franchise, but I was definitely thinking of Master Splinter, and I'm sure the card designers were also thinking of Master Splinter. Right, shall we open some of the expensive boosters? We're gonna linger on these because obviously, as I say, these booster packs are quite expensive to open. So we're gonna relish this, I think. These boosters open a little differently. They have a little, they tear. The way that these are sealed are different from regular boosters too, I guess, to specifically stop you from being able to read the cards inside, and because more of the cards in this are foil. But it also means there's more tension as I open it. Ooh, ooh. What will be inside? What will be inside? Ooh. Also trying to open this in a way where I don't just horrendously just tear the entire thing apart. We just tore the entire thing apart. It's fine. Whatever. Whatever. Don't even care. Don't even care. Destroy. Get the booster close to the mark for that creaky foil ASMR. I'll do that with the next one. I'll do that with the next one. So on the back we have a foil spirit token. Ooh. Okay, from the top. We have most of these cards are going to be foil. So we have an Armored Artificer here. Armored Artificer is an artifact creature, and you can tap it. Costs 2 mana to cast of any color. You can tap it and add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to activate an ability or cast an artifact spell. So this is really good for enabling other artifact cards. I've been lurking and enjoying this art. I haven't really looked into Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Yeah. He doesn't have any colored mana. Yeah. No, you can play mana of any color to cast this spell, but it enables other ones. We have bits of stray pack. We have Blossoming Sands, which is in foil as well. It is a dual-colored land. When it enters into battlefield, it enters into battlefield tapped. Usually when you play a land, it's untapped. You can tap it for mana. This one comes into play tapped, so you can't use it for mana straight away. But when you play it, you gain 1 life. So there's ways to gain life as well as lose life in this game. But also, I can tap this for either green or white mana. So if I was playing a deck that used both green and white cards, I might want to use this card, because it doesn't matter whether if I've only drawn white plains is what you tap for white mana, I wouldn't be able to cast any of my green cards and I'd be cursing. But with this, I can tap this to cast green or white spells, and that can be really, really useful. Really, really useful. We have Reinforced Ronin, who is quite difficult to see, but he has a robotic arm that is carrying a gigantic flaming katana, very over the top. And as a result, because he's got these kind of like metal augments, he's an artifact creature, not just a regular creature. It has haste, meaning that the first time I play it on the battlefield, usually when you play a creature, the first time you play a creature, it has Summoning Sickness, meaning that it can't attack straight away. But this card has haste, so it can enter the battlefield and swing for somebody immediately. It also only costs 1 red mana, so you can play this on turn 1 and immediately swing at somebody for 2 damage off the bat. Very scary. It also says, at the beginning of your end step, return Reinforced Ronin to its owner's hand. So it appears, it swings for 2, comes back to my hand. Next turn, play it again, swings again, comes back to my hand. And because it goes back to my hand, it means that I can't block with it. But the opponent can't, during their turn, attack the card either, because it's in my hand. So this could be really useful for some certain tricks that we can play. Leech Gauntlet. Leech Gauntlet is interesting because it is not just an artifact creature, it is an equipment creature. So equipment, we've seen some equipment earlier when we were going through cards. Let's find another piece of equipment. Oh, thank you for the follower, Aronzi. I appreciate yous. So this is an equipment, for example, Ancestral Katana. Moving cards out the way, sorry. Equipment cards usually do something when equipped to creatures, usually give them this one. I can equip it to a creature to give it +2 attack and +1 toughness, and it will have an equip cost, meaning that I have to pay mana to attach it to a creature. With that understood, Equipment Leech Gauntlet is a creature by itself. It appears on the battlefield and you can swing with it and attack with it as a creature, but also it has on it an effect called Reconfigure. Reconfigure lets me attach this card to a creature as if it were an equipment, which is really cool because I get the best of both worlds. It's both a creature that I can swim with and an equipment. A roving necrotic cyberhand. Yeah, isn't that cool? Very cool. Plus, if it's attached to a creature and that creature dies, this doesn't go to the graveyard or anything. It just goes back to being a creature again. It just leaps off the corpse of the thing that died and is scuttling around on its own afterwards. Behold the Unspeakable. This is another holographic card. It is a saga, so as before, you put counters on it every turn, and eventually it turns into Vision of the Unspeakable. This cool, like, ink painterly kind of design. Vision of the Unspeakable has flying and trample. Trample is a new keyword that we've not talked about yet. Trample is whenever it does damage to an enemy creature, if it does more damage than the enemy has toughness, the remainder damage goes to the opponent's health, goes to the opponent's life points. And the Vision of the Unspeakable gets +1/+1 for each card in my hand. So as long as I have a large hand of cards, this could be really big and really scary. But if I've been playing lots of cards and I have no cards in my hand, then this is going to be really small and really wimpy. We have a foil full art land. Ooh. Very, very shiny. Scary in a turtle deck. Yeah. There are some cards in other, if you're playing against cards across everything, where you can have like no maximum hand size. You can do really scary things with that, I'm sure. But ooh, big foil shiny land. We have Peerless Samurai. She's looking over her shoulder, real all cool like. Menace whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone. The next spell you cast costs 1 less. So it makes your other spells cheaper as long as a card attacks alone. We have Aki Ronin. This is a goblin samurai. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. We have a Mukotai Abolisher, which is a rat ninja. I don't know if Joe is still here, but we've got some alt art rat ninjas in the fray. It has lifelink. Lifelink is a new keyword that we haven't talked about yet. And the thing with lifelink, the damage it deals, you gain back in life points. So this is 3 attack. So this would deal 3 damage, and then I would gain 3 life as well. We have Blade Blizzard Kitsune. This fox ninja who is carrying 2 katana and has double strike because it attacks twice. Very smart naming. Oh, the Dawn Sky. So you know that black dragon that we saw previously? Let me dig that out. Where is they? Where they be? Some of these cards are upside down. I've not done a very good job at keeping them all the right way up. Okay, it's fine. We're looking through. I don't remember where we found it, but we'll find it. Here we go. Jinji, the Midnight Sky. Wait, so you can go over 20 life points? Yes, you can go over 20 life points. In fact, there are some previous cards from previous sets. There's one that's like says that if you have 40 life points, then you win the game and things like that. It's ill-advised. You don't really win games by gaining life, but there are some decks that use gaining life so you can spend it as a strategy. So this is the white version of this black card. So the Dawn Sky. It is a legendary creature, a dragon spirit. It has flying and vigilance. And when the Dawn Sky dies, choose 1. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put any number of non-land permanent cards. So that's any artifacts, any enchantments, any creatures. With total mana value 4 or less. So that's this cost up top. This is a 5 mana card because it costs 3 of any color and then 2 white. onto the battlefield. So to go through this looks at the top 7 cards of your deck. Any like creatures, enchantments, or artifacts that cost 4 or less, you just put them onto the playing field immediately. You don't need to pay for them. Or you can put 2 +1/+1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or a vehicle. What types of decks do I run? Ooh, I really like blue-black rogues. Rogue creatures tend to do things where they dodge around the opponent's creatures, so they tend to ignore the fact that they have blockers, and when they deal damage, do something nasty on top of dealing damage. So stuff like I get to draw cards every time I deal damage. You take cards off the top of your deck and put them into the graveyard whenever I deal you damage, that kind of thing. Ninjas do very similar things to rogues, so they work together really, really nicely. I also really like artifacts. I really like cards that make lots of artifact tokens. So you can make tokens in this game. We've seen some previously. We saw that spirit token a little while ago. See if we can find that, where that went. Hold on. This is a token. So this card doesn't have a mana cost. This is just to represent. There is a card that says make a human monk token that does X, and so there are cards that represent those. If you don't have these, this is fine. You can just use counters or buttons or dice to kind of represent tokens. So I quite like decks that make lots of artifact tokens and then do something with those tokens. So say, for example, there is a creature that gets +1/+1 for every artifact I control, and I've made a ton of artifact tokens, and then this thing got really big. That kind of thing. Love that. Oh, we found another Myojin of the Roaring Blades. This one is a borderless art, so the art kind of extends to the edges, but we saw what this already did. Oh, another life gain strategy. Keep your life up when you cycle your graveyard back to your deck until your opponent runs out of cards. Yeah, so just keep stalling. Just keep stalling and gaining life, although that's really slow, and you might still be outsped by your opponent if they find ways to shut down your strategy. We got another rare as well, Mirror Box. It's an artifact. The legend rule does not apply to permanents you control. So we've been seeing a lot of cards with legendary. This means that there can be only one of them on the battlefield at a time. Excuse me. And that's not only all legendaries in total. So we can have both these cards, even though they're both legendary at the same time. What this means is that if I played another Myojin of Roaring Blades, the oldest one would die, and then this one would come into play in its place. I believe that's how the legendary currently works. So you can only have one legendary card of a name at a time, and that counts for opponents too. Library of Mirrors was the legendary cancelling game with the old Kamigawa set. Yeah, this one mirrors that, badumcha. The legend rule does not apply to permanents you control. Each legendary creature you control gains +1/+1. Each non-token creature you control gains +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares the same name. So you could make lots of clones of the same card, and they could be legendary because this card lets you do that. And they would get even stronger if you had multiple copies of the same. We have one more. We have the Kami War. This is kind of an odd meme card. You can see the cost here. That it costs 1 of anything, then a white, then a blue, then a black, then a red, then a green, which is very difficult to do. People tend to not make 5-color decks. They usually only make 1 or 2-color decks, sometimes 3, very rarely 3. 5 is very complicated to do, but if you manage to cast this and it stays on the field for 3 turns, it turns into Okagichi Made Manifest. It is an enchantment creature dragon spirit. It is all colors with flying and trample. It feels like an EDH card. Yes, indeed. There is a format of this game called Commander, which we got a box for, like this. It is a deck that is 100 cards, and each card, aside from basic lands, has to be unique. Anyway, It is all colors. It is airs flying and trample. Whenever all Kagachi made manifest attacks, defending player chooses a non-land card in your graveyard, so in my graveyard. So if I was attacking someone else, they would look at my graveyard and pick a card from it. Return that card to my hand. Okagachi Made Manifest gets +X +0 until end of turn, where X is the mana value of that card. So when it attacks, not only do I get cards that were previously destroyed, this gets stronger. That's really good, although this card looks pretty difficult to cast. And finally, we have Lizard Blades, which is an artifact creature with double strike. Equipped creature also has double strike. Very simple, very powerful. Okay, so those are the kind of like rare cards that we can get in this set. And because it was a collector's booster, we got quite a lot of rares. Not all of those rares are going to be worth a lot of money, but you do get a lot of rares and a lot of foils by opening these up. But if you're looking for a specific shiny card, if there is a specific card that you want and you want it to be blinged out and you want it to have the alternate artwork and all that, remember you can always buy singles. Very important to remember, you can always buy singles. Anyway, I was told that we needed to get some pack opening ASMR. It's impossible to open these without tearing it horrendously. All right, let's see what we got here. We got a samurai token in foil. We've got Season of Renewal. It is an instant card. Remember instant cards from before? We can cast them at any other time. That sort of squeaky crunch is so unique. Yeah. Season of Renewal. It is an instant card. Choose one or both for 2 and a green. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So this card is all about being able to recur cards that were previously destroyed so you can use them again. We have Lethal Exploit. Ooh, this looks very cool in foil, actually. It is a kind of like a shrine underground with all this kind of like neon runoff pouring all over it. Target creature gets -2/-2 and until end of turn. So we've seen lots of cards that say +X/X, but this one's a -X/X. And if any effects cause a card to have 0 toughness, it dies. So you can use this instant card to give something -2/-2 and kill it. Until end of turn. It gains an additional -1/-1 until end of turn for each modified creature you control. And it reminds you that equipment, auras, and counters count with modifications. We have a foil Covert Technician, who is a ninja. Whenever Covert Technician deals combat damage to a player, which it's already going to do at least once if it's appeared via ninjutsu, replacing something else and it's tapped and attacking. Whoops. Whenever Covert Technician deals combat damage to a player, you may put an artifact card with mana value less or than or equal to the damage from your hand onto the battlefield. So if you got this to have really, really big damage, you could probably put a very big artifact from your hand onto play. When We Were Young, which is an instant of 2 of the important named characters in the set cavorting around as children. Up to 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 until end of turn. If you control an artifact and an enchantment, those 2 creatures also gain lifelink until end of turn. We have the Fall of Lord Kanoda, another saga enchantment, which flips over into Fragment of Koda, a little carving, chipped and worn. We have another foil land. Very pretty. We have Heir of the Ancient Fang, a samurai snake. Enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter on it if you control a modified creature. We have Guardians of Oboro, which is a Moonfolk Samurai. Modified creatures you control can attack as though they don't have Defender. If you have Defender, it means that you cannot attack. You can only defend. So this can't attack unless you modify it by giving it an enchantment aura or a equipment or putting a counter on it. Oh, thank you for the follow, Pig Simulator. Thank you very much. Covert Technician. Oh, this is also one of my fave alt arts. It's almost like a Phantasy Star Online character with the design of this. Ninjutsu. Whenever Covert Technician deals combat damage to a player, you may put an artifact card with a mana value less than or equal to. Oh, this is the card that we saw before. So this is this card in the alternate art. Big PSO vibes. Yeah. We have Dokuchi Shadow Walker, which is an Dokuchi Shadow Walker with ninjutsu. No special effect, but it is a 5/5. Eater of Virtue. Ooh, this is a very cool card. So this is an equipment. We've explained what equipments do. When an equipped creature dies, exile it. So it doesn't go to your graveyard, it is removed from play entirely. The equipped creature gets +2/+0. And as long as a card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, the equipped creature has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection from Colors, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. So anything with like a common keyword, if it dies while this is equipped to it, this equipment also gains that keyword. So you can sacrifice a bunch of things to this sword to give further things you equip all these cool shiny effects. We have Aki Battle Squad. It's a group of goblin samurai. Look how tiny they are. Whenever one or more modified creatures you control attack, untap all modified creatures you control. After the combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. This ability triggers only once per turn. We have another non-foil Lizard Blades. And we have the alternate art for Light Paws Emperor's Voice, who is also one of the big... This is a big, like a kitsune priest. I think you can sort of see. You can see the fox ears up there. Lightpaws Emperor's Voice. It is a legendary creature, a fox advisor. Whenever an aura, like an enchantment that attaches to a creature, enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for another aura with mana value less than or equal to that aura with a different name and different name than each other aura you control, and put that card attached to this one. So whenever you cast an aura and attach it to something else, you can then find another aura and attach it to Lightpaws. So Lightpaws get stronger for each other aura that you already cast. And then we end with Eiganjo, Seat of the Empire. This card I think is actually worth something. These legendary lands are all considered to be very good, and I think the foil and full art versions are also maybe worth a thing as well. We'll see. I might have to look it up later. Channel. So you can play it for a land and then tap it for a land. But if you hold it in your hand, you can discard it to do a special effect. In fact, you can discard it. You can discard Eiganjo, Seat of the Empire. It deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and it is cheaper for each legendary creature you already have on the battlefield. I think I'm going to sleeve this actually, because I already know that this one's a big deal. So I have very thematic sleeves that I can use to sleeve some of these cards. I'll definitely be sleeving the pile of cards that we've been through after I'm done streaming today. I know that I'll sleeve some of these ones because I know they're actually already worth keeping. This is one mythic. I should probably have been sleeving these as I go. Oh no, I probably should have been, but it's fine, it's fine. We move on to Collector's Booster number 3. Collector's Booster number 3. We'll see if we can get something good in this one too. Because I want to see if I can remove one of these without horrendously damaging the packaging. I don't know why, but there's something about the fact that these are, like, you know, fancy that makes me want to, like, not destroy them, if that makes sense. Oh, here we go. can just slice across the top. Because we've got this little neon artwork of a rat biker, and I don't think this appears on anything else. So it's like, it's actually a surprisingly cool piece of artwork you don't get to see anywhere else. Hold on, let's reveal the token first. Oh, is there no token? No, there is a token. Hold on. Whoop. Cool. We have another, spirit token. We have a thirst for knowledge. An instant that says draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact. So this is another Artifact Matters card. We have Roadside Reliquary, which we've already seen. Life of Toshiro Umezawa. This is actually a Come and Go Tavern. This is a card that you might appreciate the effect of. The first, choose one. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, and you gain 2 life. This effect here is actually an effect on one of the more famous cards from the original Kamigawa set, Umezawa's Jite. So they've managed to kind of like copy over or do a reference for an old card effect onto this new card. And then it turns into Memory of Toshiro. Pay 1 life, add 1 black mana, spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. History coming back around again. Tradition versus modernity. We have another foil land. This one of a forest. We have another Imperial Subduer, which we've seen. A Sky Blessed Samurai. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each enchantment you control. It's cost 6 on its own, but if you have a lot of enchantments, it could probably come in for just 1 white. We have another Moon Snare Specialist. Another Moon Circuit Hacker, but this is the manga alternate art, which is also still really cool. I'm definitely going to bling out my ninjas deck with all the alt art ninjas. It's going to be really good. Soul Transfer. Oh, we've not seen this one on stream yet. Choose one. If you control an artifact and an enchantment, you can choose both. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Return target creature or planeswalker from graveyard to your hand. So you can either return something from your graveyard back to your hand so you can cast it again, or you can destroy someone else's creature or planeswalker and make sure they don't get to cast it again. Imposter Mech. Ooh, this one's really good. This one's really good. I quite like this one. You may have Imposter Mech enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature an opponent controls, except it's a vehicle with crew 3 and it loses all other types. Balance in all things seems to be a huge thing. A lot of the black element cards seem to care about both artifacts and enchantments because it balances both the modernity and the tradition list. But Imposter Mech is quite interesting. So this is the first vehicle that we've seen, actually. I'm surprised it's been this long before we've seen a vehicle. So vehicles aren't creatures until they are crewed, because you need to put pilots in the vehicle before you can drive it around and attack with it, you see? It has a crew value down here. It says crew 3, if you can see that just there. Meaning that the power of a number of cards, it could be 1 or more, needs to be 3 or more to crew this vehicle. And then once you tap them to do that, this then becomes a creature. Tameshi, Reality Architect. I think this is a card I haven't seen, actually. A very pretty full art. What does this card do? I've not seen it before. Whenever 1 or more non-creature permanents are returned to your hand, so whenever like an artifact, whenever an enchantment, whenever a land is returned to your hand, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. And you can pay any amount of mana and white, so any amount of mana +1, to return a land you control to its owner's hand. Return a target artifact or enchantment card with mana value X, which is the amount that you tapped, or less, from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So you can return enchantments from the graveyard to the battlefield again, which is quite difficult to do in other circumstances. There's a lot of returning artifacts and returning enchantments from your graveyard in this set. Thundering Raiju. Ooh. Raiju is like a very famous kind of yokai. It is a thunder deity. A spirit with haste, so it appears on the battlefield and can attack straight away. Whenever Thundering Raiju attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then Thundering Raiju deals X damage to each equipment, where X is the number of modified creatures you control other than... So if you've got a whole bunch of things with artifacts equipped to them or auras attached to them, then this does a whole bunch of extra damage. We have a foil version of Ryu the Storm's Edge. We saw this card before, but now it is in shiny foil. We have an Uncharted Haven. Uncharted Haven enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, choose a color, and then it taps for that color. So you can use it to tap for colors maybe you don't have. And Tamio's Safekeeping. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible for a turn, and you gain 2 life. So it only costs 1 green to play this card, but it'll stop something from being destroyed or affected negatively by an opponent's spells. That's pretty useful for keeping your linchpin around so it doesn't vanish. Let's see, checking the time. I'm gonna go take a 5-minute break to rest my voice. I realized that I should be trying to rest my voice more when I'm kind of doing these heavy talky streams, to go drink some water. So why don't all of you go and drink some water as well? Go have a stretch, and I will see you in 5 minutes. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay. We will see you all in 5. Catch you later. Okay. Hi. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody's had the opportunity to hydrate, to stretch. Me too. I can't blow my voice out too badly because tomorrow we're going to be streaming some tabletop RPGs. I'm going to be streaming the new tabletop RPG I designed, Ballad of Conjurers, publicly for the first time tomorrow. And I'll be doing a lot of talking at that. So there's so much of my desk is now taken up with like open packets of trading cards. Goodness me. So I can't blow my voice up too much. I'm trying to be cognizant of that while I'm also keeping an eye on the time. So we might not necessarily do a full 3 hours of pack openings just to kind of keep my voice safe. But we'll definitely get through our 2 remaining boosters, our 2 remaining collector's boosters. And maybe we'll go and have a look at what's in the commander deck. And then we'll call it a day. That sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks for joining me on this adventure, by the way, of putting this kind of thing together. I've definitely been learning a lot about how to do a pack opening stream. I wonder if I should be screaming more. I do know that one of the things that you need to do when opening random loot boxes and pulls at my cape is very skew whiff. I really enjoy this cape. I love this cape, by the way. I sewed it myself. It was a very at the time very difficult project, but I'm glad I put it together. And I have a little Demir Magic the Gathering pin that I've attached to it for day, because blue and black are my favorite colors in the game. But keep distracting myself. But yeah, I know that one of the big things when it comes to streaming, opening packs or pulling loot boxes or whatever, is that when you get a rare card, you're supposed to like scream or whatever. I am not one for screaming. I am definitely not a screaming type. So if you're looking for me to like yell poggers or whatever, I am afraid you might be horribly disappointed, because that is not my personal energy. But we move. We open our next pack. I'm excited to get better at opening these now. Yeah, there we go. So we have another samurai token. Actually, some of these have things on the back. We have a pilot token on the back. Yeah. Spoilers for the last card in the pack then. Crackling Emergence. A little fiery Kirin looking enchantment. Enchanted land you control. Enchanted land is a 3/3 red spirit creature with haste. It is still a land. If enchanted land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice Crackling Emergence, and that land gains indestructible until end of turn. Oh, so this is a good way of turning your land into new ways of attacking people. That's pretty cool. Okay. What's next? We have the Guardians of Oboro, the original art rather than the kind of alternate art. We have a Selfless Samurai. I don't think we've seen this card on stream yet. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks, it gains lifelink until end of turn. A Replication Specialist. Flying whenever a non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control. You may pay 1 and blue. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that artifact. It's a very expensive card to put onto the field, but once it's on the field, you could basically make a duplicate of whatever artifact that you cast for just 2 more. That could be really spicy. This could work really well in specific types of combo decks. We have Michiko's Reign of Truth, which is a saga that is upon a fan and then turns into a portrait of Michiko. Portrait of Michiko gets +1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment you control. We have this. I mean, this version of the full art island was my favorite design anyway. And in foil, oh, that looks gorgeous. Yeah. Nice. I have the Asari Captain, which is a red and white creature, samurai, with haste. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each samurai or warrior you control. Ooh, thing get big. It's basically exalted, but not. Aki Ronin, which we've seen before. Prosperous Thief, which we've also seen before, although in a different art. For some strange reason, this ninja is wearing a scuba mask and is carrying a fish that they've stolen. I'm not quite sure why they've stolen a fish. I kind of want to know what the story is there, what the artist was kind of thinking about when they were like, oh yeah, what is this thief, this prosperous thief stealing? A fish. Absolutely. Considering it makes treasure tokens when it attacks, it's like, okay, this fish is treasure. This fish is very special. I mean, I know that there are some like special breeds of like koi carp and stuff that are worth a ridiculous amount of money, and they're also like really ugly. We have an Inkrise Infiltrator, also in foil. Inkrise Infiltrator is not necessarily a very good card mechanically, but oh, look at that art. Yeah. It's a ninja without ninjutsu, which is very strange. March of Otherworldly Light, which is a very kind of like Ghibli Spirited Away kind of energy with all these various spirit yokai, cuddly of all different shapes and sizes, kind of having a little festival. What does this instant do? As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of white cards from your hand. So if you have other white cards in your hand, you can exile them when you cast the spell. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. So you can either pay mana or get rid of cards in your hand to cast this card. Exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment with mana value X or less. Collision of Realms. So one of the, I guess, plot points of the setting is that the spirit world is bleeding into the mortal world and it's causing complications. The visual novel that we played a couple weeks back actually has this as a kind of major theme. Each player shuffles all creatures they own into their library. Each player who shuffled a non-token creature into their library this way reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a single creature card, then puts that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. Hey, Jazzy, good evening, good evening. We're actually just talking about, so as I understand, Jazzy Bazzy is one of the writers of Kamigawa, a visual novel. Just as I mentioned that I'd like to catch you live. Yeah. Oh, did I get that wrong? Did I get that wrong? As I understood. But I know that you were involved in the production of the visual novel that we played a couple of. To the newest comment. Yes. I caught the comment on the YouTube VOD today. In terms of hang on. Maybe I'm misunderstanding a circumstance and need to kind of clarify. Juggling things all at once. Bear with me. I wish I was involved. Oh, right. You were just kind of so you were maybe correcting an inaccuracy I had in terms of I see. Gotcha. I'm curious as to how I've misunderstood the circumstances at hand. I need to kind of make sure I have that right. Hold on. Ah, right. Gotcha. Fellow content creator. You just read the story. Yes. I mean, it's my bad for being a fake geek gamer. Hey Arismont, good evening. Thank you for joining us while we're opening card packs today. We've been given so many card packs by Magic the Gathering Europe, and we've been opening some of the more expensive packs on stream. We've been finding a wide variety of raids, not just any card packs. My fave. Yeah. We've got another Junji Ito. Junji Ito is a horror manga artist, which is possibly why this was maybe called Junji. I guess it is the Black Element Dragon. Iganjo Uprising. We've not seen this card yet. Create X 2/2 White Samurai creature tokens with Vigilance. They gain Menace and Haste until end of turn. Each opponent sacrifices X -1 White Samurai creature tokens with Vigilance. So you create a bunch of samurai and they remove some samurai. Junji's name was chosen because it means attain martyrdom. Ah, I see. Also because it's got a big sacrificial effect on it. Gotcha. It was a funny coincidence. Oh, we got another Kamigawa. I mean, TBH goals if I ever get into writing, doing stuff for Magic. But if anything, you'd be composing music for it. Well, they did do an entire album for Neon Dynasty, which they released earlier this week. I was like wondering if I would be able to stream it without getting like put into Twitch jail. But most of it has lyrics, which is very awkward to talk over. And B, I don't think I've ever seen any mention from Wizards how we're allowed to use it in created content, if at all. So I was like, we're just going to stick with the regular video game playlist today, and then hopefully that won't upset anybody. All right. We have our last collector booster. It's a sip of water. Better be careful then, yeah. Gotta make sure we go find something. Better to be careful. Just as I saw Jonathan Young's interview on Channel Fireball, where he went over his thought process and all tracks. Oh, sick! I'll go look that up later because that sounds really interesting. In addition to, they do. I made sure to. Where is it? I made sure to open one of the packs of the collector booster by just slicing the top so I could retain the art, because the art's nice. I don't know what I'd do with it, but I'm glad I have the art. Good God, so many opened packs. I had a bit of it on stream the other day, but I can bravely test out the waters. Understood. Yeah. And we have our samurai token. Is there anything interesting in the reverse? Oh, we have the shiny treasure token. Oh, that's pretty. Nice. Okay. Ooh. We have Harmonious Emergence. Not sure the anime opening trailer is safe. I mean, I generally distrust any song with lyrics in it as being kind of copyright safe. Even within kind of like video game music, I kind of make a point of specifically not using any that has lyrics in it, because those are the ones that tend to. What's this? A list of resources for use in the opening is not on there. Makes sense. Enchant land you control. Oh, in a similar way to the red emergence that we drew in the last pack. Enchanted land is a 4/5 green spirit creature with vigilance and haste. It is still a land. If enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead sacrifice harmonious. Okay. So I see. 4/5 green spirit creature gets big. Explosive entry, which I think we've already seen. Destroy up to 1 target artifact. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. Go Shintai of Hidden Cruelty. This is another shrine. We saw a very complicated shrine previously, and this is part of the shrine archetype. The fact it's a 5-color archetype makes it very complicated to use, but it's a legendary enchantment creature with Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, destroy target creature with toughness X or less, where X is equal to the number of shrines you control. Neon Riverside and In the Shade of Boseiju are my 2 favorites. I think it's possibly telling because they don't have lyrics. The lyrics across the ones that do have lyrics are very fun. That a lot of them feel like synthwave 80s cartoon openings. There's like a synthwave metal fusion one about like Phyrexia, and it's very funny. It's very funny. I don't know if I personally like it as a song, but it is very charming. The metal ones from Jonathan Young and Doe. I'm not necessarily a metal person. I can tell they're all really, really well composed. They're not my personal jam. Yeah. The favorite card is Jin Cataxius, but functionally speaking is Michiko's Reign of Truth. I have drawn both of those actually. I opened a Jin Cataxius off air, and we opened a Michiko earlier on. My favorite card is the Tawashi Song Shaper, which is not a good card at all, but the artwork of the little DJ makes me laugh. He is amazing. I love that line. Well, I say he, the character design has big non-binary energy, which I also adore. A thing I want to do on stream at one point is paint miniatures, and I have an Infinity mini of like a little cyber samurai, and I want to go paint him using the color scheme of Tawashi Song Shaper. Such a controversial card. Yeah, no, exactly. Because it's so controversial. Right, let's see. Back to the matter of hand. We have another vehicle. A blue-white vehicle, Prodigy's prototype. Whenever one or more vehicles you control attack, create a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this creature cruise vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. We have another Modern Age saga, although it in foil is very pretty. Wow. That looks very nice. Heck yeah. With the foil version of the little spirit on the back. We have a foil full art land of the mountain. We've seen one of these before. We've seen Aki Ronin already. The Guardians of Oro. Inkrise Infiltrator. Futurist Operative. I don't think we've seen... But this is another ninja. Doesn't have ninjutsu though. Jugan defends the temple. Oh, it's a mythic. We'll read what the front does this time because this is pretty important if it's a mythic rare. Create a 1/1 green human monk token with tap to add green. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Exile this saga and return it to the battlefield you control as a creature. Remnant of the Rising Star. It is a flying 2/2 dragon spirit. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X, and when you do, put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. As long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, Remnant of the Rising Star gets +5/+5 and trample. Oh god. I like that the sagas tell the story leading up from the original block and the time skip to the modern age. Yes. It's a good way of being able to see. I quite like the one that highlights Umezawa's Jite and then turns into like an ink brush painting of Toshiro Umezawa. Very cool. There's the Azusa one in the pictures, her robes on display that I think is in the museum. Yeah. Concord with the Kami. A full art enchantment. Extended border enchantment, excuse me. At the beginning of your end step, choose 1 or more. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature with a counter on it. Draw a card if you control an enchanted creature. Or create a +1/+1 colorless spirit token if you control an equipped creature. And these just keep firing at the end of every turn. Gosh, green is such a powerful color. Teaching of the Kirin, with a flower arranging of 5 different bouquets. Mill 3 cards, which is take cards off the top of your deck and then put them into the graveyard. Create a 1/1 colorless creature token. Create a 1/1 counter target. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and then we exile the creature to turn it into Kirin Touched Orochi, engraved on the side of the vase. I do like how a lot of them are kind of like the zoomed out and then the zoomed in on the other side. I think that's really clever. Whenever Kirin Touched Orochi attacks, choose 1. Exile target creature card from a graveyard you control. From a graveyard, sorry, any graveyard. When you do, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Exile target non-creature card from a graveyard. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter. According to the visual design, the idea is that the story is being performed as a play akin to a kabuki, and that's why the saga side icon is a closed fan and the other side is open. Oh, for Michiko's Reign of Truth. Yeah. It'd be kind of... I know that there's like a puppeteer card. It'd be really cool if one of them was like a Rakugo performer. That'd be really neat. I think a deck that I want to build at one point is a red deck that specifically features all artists as the creatures. Because all the different colors of Magic, if you don't know, tend to have different affiliations in terms of the kind of people that they are, the kind of virtues that they follow, and so on and so forth. And red is about energy, going fast, being angry, destruction, but it can also mean burning passion and creativity. And that side of red doesn't show up very often. I find that it shows up very, very rarely. It showed up a fair amount in Kaldesh, a set that's now about maybe 4 years old, that was set in like fantasy India and was about a lot of artificers and people who were making things and creating new things. The best color combos for that would be red, green, and red, blue. Yes, Prismari from Strixhaven, which is the kind of like art student, theater student college, are about creating. So I'd really like to build like a red, blue, I guess, instants and artifacts deck that would maybe incorporate ideas from incorporate some ideas from Ravnica, incorporate some ideas from Kaldesh, incorporate some ideas from Strixhaven. I don't know what the cards would necessarily be and how I could get those different sets to unify, but I think I would take a look across all of those kind of things and see if I can find some artists that would work with each other. It would have to be an Artifacts Matter deck because I want my lad Tawashi Songshaper. Galazath Pirzari Spellcaster. I will, give me a second. Typing is a little fiddly right now because of where Prismari. Oh, thank you for the follow, GG Puck. I appreciate you. Galazath Prismari. When Galazath Prismari enters the battle, oh, it's the Elder Dragon, the leader of Prismari. I understand. I weirdly enough, even though like dragons are such a large part of high fantasy as a thing, I don't really like dragons that much. I don't think dragons are that cool. When I was younger, I was like, swords aren't cool either. Dragons and swords, just nerdy BS. I like swords now. I think swords are really cool, but they have to be like fencing rapiers. They have to be light dexterity swords. Yeah, still not sold on dragons. Nah, don't like dragons at all. Springleaf Avenger, an insect ninja. Ooh. That's cool. I mean, you're allowed to love dragons. I ain't gonna yuck other people's yums. They're just not for me. I'm just not a dragons person. Scrap Welder, sacrifice an artifact with mana value X. Return target artifact card with the mana value less than X from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste until end of turn. Okay, that is all of our collector's boosters. Don't want to say dragons are bad because of... I mean, I wouldn't know what that means. I wouldn't know what that means because we're currently in a pact bound with Twitch where I have to have the mature setting set off. We're not mature. We do not have the mature filter today. So at the moment, so we wouldn't have any idea about dragons that are not especially good. You know. No, it's fine. You can say what you like. I'm on the bound to not say certain things on air or make certain jokes. I'm trying to do my best to do that and keep. One of the things we're going to be streaming on Saturday. I'm going to open the rest of the set boosters because there's only like 3 of them left, and we'll go through those quickly, and then we'll look at the commander deck. We're streaming another tabletop RPG on Saturday. Ooh, I like this art. This art's cool. Very futuristic. This is for universal surveillance. Nice. Have you seen additions to the list in the set boosters? What tabletop RPG? Well, we are actually... Well, Jazzy Bassy, we are streaming 2 tabletop RPGs this week. Both of which are tabletop RPGs that I have designed. So on Tuesday, so tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. UK time, GMT, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, we will be streaming Ballad of Conjurers, which is a tabletop RPG that is inspired by early noughties JRPGs like Golden Sun and Skies of Arcadia. Heavily leaning into that. We're midway through disc 1 of this RPG kind of vibe. It's going to be super melodramatic. There are rules for summoning elementals, and there are special rules for setting the theatrics and being rewarded for fulfilling the different theatrics, the thematic theatrical tone that everybody set. The one that's coming up tomorrow is going to be a gothic pantomime, so be excited for that. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be playing my VTuber alter ego Caster is going to be GMing a session of Agents of Hue, which is the very, very first tabletop RPG that I wrote some years ago. Hue stands for Hunky Undercover Elites. It is a what I would describe as Austin Powers meets Totally Spies, being kind of like a camp spy romp. Played with VTubers, you know it's going to be a mess. You know it's going to be messy. Queersploitation, yes, exactly how I would describe it. Really, really high energy. Even though I think I have made better games than it since, it has a soft place in my heart for how gay and trashy this thing I made. Because when I started out with my kind of like early design philosophy, I wanted to make loud gay trash is my design philosophy. And I still think I do make loud gay trash. But that is probably my loudest and trashiest. Maybe my gayest? I think I probably have to ask the people who've played my stuff to go and find. Yes, when you played it last, your attack was flexing your pecs. You got a full... I should probably keep going through this. We've seen a lot of these cards now, so we can kind of go a little bit faster. An automated artificer, Ironhoof Boar, which is just a 5/4 trample haste nightmare. It's expensive though. Thirsty Sword Lesbians. I haven't played Thirsty Sword Lesbians, although I do have the PDF. In reading the book through, it does a lot of things that a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games do. So I don't know whether I would run it by itself, but I might use the ideas in it in other Powered by the Apocalypse games with more unique mechanics that I like more. I really love City of Mist. City of Mist is one of my favorite tabletop RPGs ever, and by far my favorite Powered by the Apocalypse game. And I think it would be really interesting to kind of take some of the ideas from Thirsty Sword Lesbians and use them in other things. It's funny how sword fighting is actually an optional, like complicated sword fighting with like strategy is an optional bonus rule in the book that they don't implicitly encourage. They don't want you to do technical sword fights in Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and I'm not quite sure if I understand that as a concept, but they do them. And I'm so glad it did super well because it kind of highlighted how many queer folks there are out there playing tabletop RPGs, you get what I mean? I think there were a lot of people who were really reluctant to try out tabletop RPGs, but wanted to try some queer stuff. Really engaging with Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and that's rad, I love that. I want to play that one that lets you customize your playbook however you want with many tags, and the setting and comic aesthetic is dope. Oh, want to play City of Mist? Yes, City of Mist is amazing. You've already found my channel, Jazzy Bassy, but we actually ran an 8-episode campaign. I think it was 8 or so episode campaign of City of Mist on Twitch. Have you ever played Return to Monkey Island with the insult? But yes. I have played that. Curse of Monkey Island with the rhyming insult sword fighting. Beautiful, love that. Thundersteel Colossus, which we don't think we've seen. Trample and Haste, Crew 2, very straightforward card. It's a 7/7, 7/7 for 7, but there's some stuff that can cheat this out. Oh, actually, while we're talking about it, I'm gonna link my hard work. That was one of my favorite things that I've ever worked on. So you know, I'm very willing to kind of share it with other people. You know what I mean? Here we go. Haste. Ugh. If you get that kind of fight, you understand how First You Saw Lesbians is meant to work. I do. I get how it's meant to work. But there's something about the idea of being able to be flirty and saucy and quick-witted, but also specifically playing mind games with other players and trying to outwit them, which is something I also really enjoy. I want both. I want both things. I'm a greedy mofo. I want insult sword fighting, and I want to be able to outplay my opponents in a really technical manner. Both things are rad. Oh, Rato Sentinel. This is an artifact creature we've not seen. It has Defender. When Rato Sentinel enters the battlefield, target player mills 3 cards. Ah! It is a milling card. This might be useful in one of the decks that I'm building. It's a blue-black mill. We do use artifacts in it occasionally. This might be useful in there. Well, okay, so in the advanced combat rules, they say to not specifically use it unless, like, there are stakes on the line, because it is designed for play against another player. Because in Powered by the Apocalypse games, the GM traditionally doesn't roll. You would only really use those more complicated combat rules when playing against another player. And because it is mind gamesy, and if you outplay somebody, there can be some bad feelings and not in a narrative way. They're like, maybe don't use it unless everybody is super on board for being technical. We don't, you know, this is... So it comes with the caveat of like, oh, this is an optional thing rather than it being built in. And personally, I guess I would have loved for them to have been kind of more gung-ho about wanting to have that be part of the thing inherent instead of it being a bonus thing. But I respect that it's there at all. They might have not put the thing there at all, you know? So it's that kind of thing. It's not to my particular taste how it was handled, but it's not that it's bad. Those kind of nuances. This is why we have this discussion here rather than on Twitter, because Twitter would have definitely had a less generous interpretation of me being like, oh, this isn't to my taste. Gloom Shrieker. This is also one we've not seen. His Menace, which was a mechanic we've discussed already. When Gloom Shrieker enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, which could be a land if you wanted it to. It could be any permanent. If Gloom Shrieker would die, exile it instead. Okay. We have the Befriending the Moths. Satoru Umezawa! Ooh! This is one of the big cards. This card is super useful for my Ninja deck. What? Nuance? My partner, when we played on the pre-release day, he pulled this card. And I was like, good for you. I'm so glad you pulled one of the best ninjas. I love that for you. Yay. And internally, mother. So I'm glad I have my own. That's nice. Sick. To read it out, because it has a lot of text. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest into the bottom of your library in any order. This ability triggers only once per turn. Each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu 2 blue-black. This one is interesting because you can make high cost cards be 4 cost or 3 cost with the Ratmaster. Yes, indeed. It also means that this is a really good tech card if you're doing rogues and ninjas. Yeah, high cost Eldrazi and stuff like that. That makes sense and kind of thing. But I'm building. Say I have a rogue deck that I want to make a rogue ninja deck and kind of build that out. But obviously, there are some ninja only stuff that doesn't interact between the two quite. There's some cards like the Rat Master that boosts both rogues and ninjas, and that card has been really useful already. But this makes it even better because this gives all my rogues ninjutsu. And so all of it kind of builds together really nicely, and it means they can tag out with each other just repeatedly. And that'd be really, really sick. So I'm so glad I got this card. I'm really happy that I pulled this. Iron Apprentice. Pretty simple card. It's a 0/0 card, but comes with a +1/+1 counter on it. And if it dies, it gives that +1/+1 counter to something else. And you'd be surprised how many people will let you keep attacking with this card. Just to not give the +1/+1 counter to something else. Pretty neat. Oh, we got something from the list. Ooh. What's this? Sleeping Potion. When Sleeping Potion comes into play, tap Enchanted Creature. Enchanted Creature does not untap during its controller's untap step. When an Enchanted Creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice Sleeping Potion. Okay. There are a lot of cards that do this kind of thing. So, you know, but maybe the fact that it's 1 in a blue and quite cheap is actually useful. But pulling cards, whenever you pull a card from the list, it's always an exciting time. It's a Time Spiral card as well. Interesting. Okay, sorry, just checking the time. We have a Forge going on this full art card. Smoke Spirit's Aid. A bunch of small spirits are forging some stuff. We have a Stillwater Cliffs, which is the red-blue version of something we've seen previously, where we can kind of go through a lot of the commons that we've already seen at this point. Disruption Protocol. As an additional cost to cast the spell, tap an untapped artifact you control, or pay 1, counter target spell. Short Circuit, Flash. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets -3 and loses flying. Roadside Requiem was seen. Touch the Spirit Realm with a kind of funky glitch art in it. When Touch the Spirit Realm enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature until Touch the Spirit Realm leaves the battlefield. Okay. And Milton drafted this with a 6-pack pool with my brother. Oh, nice. What does Milton draft mean in terms of kind of like how that changes play? This card's the same. Another Springleaf Avenger. A foil version of Silvertail Mentor. Oh! Yeah, this is when green-red modifier with a few samurai. So you don't have enough peeps for a pod draft. Ah, I see. So it's a way of being able to do draft play rather than, say, sealed. I enjoy sealed more than you get a pool and then put it on 3 stacks. I'll let you finish explaining the whole thing and then I'll read it through, Jazzy. So feel free to keep explaining. Although I realize there might be a delay on how many times you can post a message because of the settings I currently have on. So sorry if it's frustrating for you to go and type this out in a very kind of like long-winded form. While I open our last pack of set boosters. Oh, nice. We get a large version of the card that we saw earlier with the kind of glitchy arm art. Nice. A Bloodfell Caves. Nothing new there. Nothing special there. Another Guardians of Oberon. A Heir of the Ancient Fang. A Dokuchi Shadow Walker, which we've seen in its like alternate art form. Kaito's Pursuit. I think this one's new. A target player discards 2 cards. Ninjas and rogues you control gain menace until end of turn. Well, that's also going in the rogues and ninjas deck for sure. Tamiyo's Completion. Tamiyo's Safekeeping. Boon of Buseiju. Target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest mana value among permanents you control. Ooh. Okay, okay. Let's read what you've got here. So, a Milton draft. You don't have enough peeps for a pod draft. You get a pool and put it on 3 stacks. So, just a number of... all piles are face down. First player looks at one pile and decides if they want to keep it, or whether or not they keep it. They deal the card to another card to that pile. Then the next player goes to the other pile and circles the process. So the more you pass the cards, the bigger the pile. And eventually you kind of have to interact with everything in that pile anyway. So it's kind of delaying the inevitable. This is another large construct. This is quite cool art. This feels similarly to Tawashi Song Shapers, doesn't feel like a Magic card at all in its design, and that's sick. Feels like some Gundam-ish. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each modified creature you control. Yeah, with trample as well. A walking skyscraper has hexproof as long as it is untapped. So when it's not attacking, it's very difficult to kill and gets super cheap if you have a lot of things with stuff equipped to them or +1/+1 counters. Dope in green-red. That makes sense. That makes sense. Green-red is perhaps my least favorite combination personally, but you know, we each have a... Well, oh yes, this mini game. So some of these set boosters had this in the back. Let me go read it. Objective. Sometimes technology is useful, and sometimes it's downright confusing. Deduce the identity of your cards using only images from the internet. Open a booster pack and remove all add, token, and art cards. Deal 1 face down to each player, setting the rest aside. Each player secretly looks at their card, then searches the card name using an internet search engine. Navigate to the first 3 image results that are not of a Magic card or Magic art, then choose one of those images. If you're unsure if something depicts Magic art, use your best judgment. Once each player has selected an image, place the chosen cards back with the unchosen cards. Then shuffle all the cards and display them in a face-up grid. Randomly determine the player to reveal the first round. Oh, I see. So it's like playing Dixit. It's like playing Dixit with these. I getcha. Let's look at these other 2. Scrap Welder, which was seen in Explosive Entry. So, shall we see if we can try and play this? Can I play this like online? Is there a way that I can sensibly do that without leaving everybody waiting a really long time? Maybe. Let me open Photoshop. My old as all get out copy of Photoshop. And what I'm going to go and do is that I'm going to open one of the regular draft boosters. On the regular draft boosters and play the game that way. Deal 1 card face down to each player single. Secretly looks at the card and searches the name. Okay, sick. Just waiting for Photoshop to boot. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is that I'm gonna open one of these cards. I'm gonna like find a picture in on like Google. Then do a whole thing where we can try and guess what the name of the card is, maybe. Shuffle all the cards and play them in the face of grid. Right. Cool. Okay. So, right, let's see here. We are gonna finding a way of doing this in a way where I don't accidentally reveal everything that I find to you. So I'm going to open this off camera so you don't see. We're going to do well, let's go see what interesting cards here are. That one's interesting. That one's interesting. Oh, yeah, this card. And this card. Sure. We'll do 4. We'll do 4 of them. while I go and do a bunch of Googling. So we're gonna... God, my keyboard's all the way over here because I have to move it out of the way for the... This is a mess. We're just gonna put all the cards that we've opened so far just here. You can just see all the cards that we've opened. Have the room to actually type something. Good God. Okay. So looking for some artwork that isn't. That's funny. Actually, that's good. That's good. That's good. I like this. Copy image address. Okay. Paste. Okay, that worked. Okay, next one. Sorry that this is going to be surprisingly uninteresting for you until I... Oh, okay, okay. I like this too. Yeah, oh, okay, okay. Some of these are surprisingly like a... Oh, this will do. Cool. And then the next one. Okay. Again, it's going to be a lot of pictures of a magic card. Yeah. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Very good. What a winning smile. And then the last one. Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be this one. It has to be. This is actually going to be really easy. As it turns out, the things that I've selected have turned out to be really, really easy in terms of being able to work out which one's which. But that's okay. That is okay. We move. Okay, and then I need to go find an additional image. Let's go and find... Because I can have this image showing... Press. Excellent. Good gosh, Google. Right, okay. We're going to add a browser. Yeah, you've looked at a lot of the guys, and I must say this is quite easy, Jazzy. So I'd be very impressed if you didn't get any of these. We are... Oh, no. I can't do... Oh, I can do it this way. I can do it this way. So we're gonna... This is very, very elegant, you see, that I'm doing this live. Can't you tell how elegant I'm being? Do a layer. There we go. Sit here. Okay. Right. Let's put up a velvet curtain first, so you can't see what's there. There we go. Excellent. And we're going to move these out of the way. Move these out of the way. And then, yeah, it's this side of the camera. Okay. We have the Spirited Companion, a Dockside Chef, Return to Action, and Spell Pierce. We have four cards here. If I move them high enough, then maybe I can get them to sit side by side. I don't know if you can see them super well. But we have Dockside Chef, Spirited Companion, Spell Pierce, and Return to Action. So, yeah, I mean, you know, you got to do it right or not at all. We're gonna start with an easy one first. If I can actually find the resource. Okay, cool. So, what card is this? Which of these 4 cards did Google turn this image up for? This was the first image that was not a magic card. Indeed. Indeed, very good. Very good. The fun thing is, the best thing is, this is the holding image for a YouTube video that teaches you how to spell the word pierce. Spell pierce. Dumb. Awful. Goes into the void. Okay, okay. No. I love how bad this is. I love how bad this is. This is good. I love this. Oh dear, it's small. It doesn't help that this is small. Let me yeah. Return to action. Very good, very good. There is it seems that there is also a movie called Return to Action. And it had a very cool poster. And then I noticed it says the words Return to Action just on the poster, and I'm like, I can't have to go more complicated than that. But it was still pretty easy. It was still pretty easy. Oh, you're good at this, Jazzy. Oh, look at you knowing the names of magic cards. You must be some kind of Magic the Gathering wizard of the coast. All right, next one. Oh no, it's going to be really big. It's fine. It still fits. Which one? Which one of these two is it? Ooh. Yes, it is indeed Dockside Chef. It is indeed Dockside Chef. They do look a little similar. If Dockside Chef was relentlessly Caucasian, they would probably be the person in the photograph. Now, I wonder what this last one is. Maybe I should have put 6 down so there were some dummies. Maybe I didn't think this impromptu quiz through. Even though I described myself as the androgynous android game show host, I maybe didn't think the mechanics of this quiz through properly. But this is the last one when I searched the name of Spirited Companion. I mean, look at these two. Then it's the same picture. It's the same picture. They're exactly the same. Spirited Companion to a T. Excellent. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Ah, okay. I'm glad we got to play a game show, considering that is what I am known for. I should probably do that. Okay, fun times. We're gonna get rid of this. Bye. I'm gonna get rid of you. It did end up needing to use Photoshop in the end. Excellent, cool. All right. Let's wrap things up more or less. We're almost done, party people. Last thing I want to have a look at today. Oh, by the way, just to kind of reiterate to people, if you've been because there's some people who are watching now who probably weren't watching at the start of this. If you've been seeing some cards and be like, oh man, those cards are cool, I want some cards like that. Yeah, I'm not the kind of person to encourage people who may or may not have addictive personalities. I recognize that opening boosters is tickles the same part of your brain that's opening loot boxes in like Overwatch or pulling gachas in like Grand Blue Fantasy, and left unchecked, you can make some really poor decisions about spending when it comes to chasing rare items in random packs. I'm specifically saying that, hey, if some of these cards are really pretty and you want them for your deck, you can just buy singles. It is a thing you are allowed to do. Yes, I mostly open packs when I mostly open packs when doing draft days. I really enjoyed doing pre-releases, which is, I say this to highlight that I was also sent a pre-release pack with all these cards. Pre-release packs tend to come out, well, they always come out at the start of a new set because it's a way of being able to open a bunch of new cards in a new set and play with a bunch of people and just kind of get the vibe for things. And these can be really fun to play both at your friendly local game store. Please support your friendly local game store. Or if you have friends at home who also enjoy Magic the Gathering, just buy 2 of these, go back home. Each of these contains 6 boosters and like a rare, a guaranteed rare on top of the 6 guaranteed rares that are in the booster packs, you know what I mean? And you can just play with these. You just need to find some way to get lands. If you're already a Magic the Gathering player, you probably have lands spare. And you just need to get some lands to be able to build a 40-card deck, and you can play. And you don't need to worry about chasing anything rare, and you can just have a good time. So I would recommend, if you have not seen any cards in the Neon Kamigawa set, you don't own any, and you would like to own some, buy 2 of these. Go play with a friend. It's genuinely a really good time. I really enjoy playing sealed because it means you will experiment with cards that you might not otherwise. If you play Commander, or your friends play Commander, which is a very popular new set, there are 2 Commander packs for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. As I understand, there is a printer error in the other one. There's a red-green one and a blue-white one. There is a printer error in the red-green one, unfortunately, meaning that there is like a planeswalker that you don't get, and instead you get a double of another rare. Bear that in mind. You could switch that out for any other card and it would be legal. You can switch it out for another land and it'd be legal, but bear that in mind. However, because they print these commander boxes every release, there are a lot available and some of them are really, really good. My partner bought the Blue-White Spirits deck from Crimson Vow and it's really good. It whips my admittedly quite mediocre, but blue-black like commander deck out of the water, so you can get some really, really solid ones. So those are the 2 I would recommend. I would recommend the purchasing of these 2, either of these 2 depending. Otherwise, if there are single cards that you're like, ooh, that's pretty, and I want those cards, please, and I'm telling you, please buy singles. Buy booster packs as gifts for other people, because then they get the joy of opening boosters. Or if you're playing sealed or draft with friends, you can buy draft boosters and you can buy a set of these, or you can buy multiple draft boosters of different sets and play drafts together. That is also really fun. But I would not recommend buying set boosters or the collector's boosters if you are trying to just chase rare cards to like sell for more money, because there's no guarantee of that. You will end up disappointed. And if you're looking for a specific rare card, you're doubly going to end up disappointed because the rate of you pulling that is going to be really, really low. Buy Black Lotuses, call your friends scrubs. Yeah, you know, the only way to be good at games is spending the most money possible, Tom, for sure. I would say that the card that I'm most excited about pulling was my the Umezawa Ninja. Where did that go? It's not part of this pile. It's buried elsewhere. We've opened so many cards today, I can no longer find specific cards anymore. Oh no. It's fine. We're just filling for air while we're looking at the cards we've already seen. Where are you, Umezawa? Where are you, my beloved? Yeah, Satoru Umezawa. enables ninjas in a really, really cool way. The card art's cool. Definitely going into my ninjas and rogue deck. Really glad that I pulled this. That would be my wicked cards. Tempest. Hope you're doing well, Tempest, by the way. Hope you're doing well. Yes, the situation is that one non-basic red-green land got printed twice, but the format is singleton, meaning that you can just replace it with any land. But apparently, that the card that was supposed to that duplicate was supposed to be was like a planeswalker. Another thing to note is that if you don't want it on release, Commander Precon deck drops big in price depending on their value strength. Yes, so the reason why I mentioned kind of like other Commander decks is that there are a lot. They release them literally once every 3 months or so. So it is very, very easy to get an old Commander deck and play with that if the current ones are too expensive. Another thing to note, if you don't, yeah. Good. Just finished streaming and really annoyed. Can never remember to rate. It's fine. It's fine. Have you seen the ninja frame and the alternate art for Sator? It's super cool. I think I have, but do not remember what it looks like. I've not necessarily kind of like been chasing alternate arts, although some of the alternate arts that we've pulled are very, very pretty. So a lot of the this huge box actually, all that's used that we need is this little thing here. This comes with like additional tokens you can pop out and stuff that you don't need. But at least it's cardboard. It's recyclable. The old ones had a lot of useless plastic that was harder to recycle. So at least this is all very the MGSE one. Yeah. I know the one you mean. We have not pulled that card. I'm sure it's like a buy a box promo or something like that. The big rare, that's the commander for. So in Commander, you have a legendary creature that sits separate to your main deck that you can pay to put it in the field, and usually it both determines what colors can be allowed in the deck. So in this case, it has to be blue and white if this card is my commander. But usually it has a specific ability that really benefits Commander as a playstyle. So this has vehicles you control have crew 2, regardless of how much they would be to crew otherwise. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, target artifact creature you control gains lifelink and vigilance until end of turn. So this is very much a vehicles matter deck. Yes. So let's open this. There we go. So Commander decks don't just have cards from the current set. It is usually a mixture of cards from the current set and cards from previous sets that fit thematically, and sometimes they even make entirely new cards, which I think are near the top. Shirokai Genius Engine is one of the new cards. Huge mecha in the Shirokai Genius Engine that can be an even better commander than Kotori, which if this is allowed to be your commander, it can. Nice. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Create a pilot token, crew 8. I see. Yeah, the fact that it does card draw and creates pilots that can make crewing vehicles even easier does sound very good. You'd have to lean in hard to it being piloting on theme, but that's perfectly fine. Some of the other new cards that we've gotten. Oh, this one's been dinged a little bit, but that's not a big deal. Aerial Surveyor. Flying, whenever Aerial Surveyor attacks, defending player control. Well, if defending player controls more lands than you, search your library for a basic planes card, put it on the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your deck. Drum Bellower. Flying. Untap all creatures you control during each other player's untap phase. Ooh. With Kotori as your commander, you can also crew that chunky mecha for 2. Yes, you can. Iron Soul Enforcer. When Iron Soul Enforcer or a commander you control attacks alone, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. To the battlefield. Okay. All right. Good card. Organic Extinction. Improvise. You can tap other artifact cards to make the spell cheaper, which makes sense because this is 8 white. Destroy all non-artifact creatures. Sure. So you can keep all your vehicles intact. You could upgrade it a lot with some artifact and vehicle tutors, for sure. It's probably a really basic question, but I was always wondered with all the planes that are out there now, are there tournament rules about decks being on theme? No, there is no requirement. Oh, the MTG Arena does plane events sometimes. Fair enough. But there's no mandatory requirement for building decks that are to a theme. I love building decks that are to theme. I love the idea of building a deck that tells a story within itself. There is one. Oh, it's on the other side of the room. No, it's not on the other side of the room. It's here. See if I can do this without destroying it. My box of decks that I've mostly been using. Oh no, my cable is clapped in the magnetic clasp of the box. Oh no, okay, we're fine. So I have a green-white clues deck that I built in second Innistrad. I know we're looking through these cards, but it can wait. You asked me about a thing, and I'll be really enthusiastic about this. So I built. It's a 60-carder rather than a commander deck. That is all green and white, making clues, and there are specific cards in here that are part of the battle plan. Tamio's Journal. Marionette Master. I have two of them. And Brybridge Patrol. Okay. So, Tamio's Journal. I have to explain all of this as we go so it can do a thing. So this deck only has green and white mana in it and nothing else. Tamio's Journal. Tamio is in this set. So, you know, this is, she appeared previously and then reappeared here. This card says, at the beginning of your upkeep, make a clue token. Sacrifice 3 clues. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Brybridge Patrol says, at the beginning of each end step, if you have sacrificed 3 or more clues this turn, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Meaning that I can play Marionette Master, which is a black card, not green or white, for free by just tutoring it from Tamio's Journal. And Marionette Master says, whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So, I can make a bunch of clues, sacrifice 3 clues to put Marionette Master from my deck into my hand. Brybridge Patrol says, hey, you sacrifice 3 clues. Put a creature from your hand to the battlefield. I'm like, don't mind if I do. Haha. And because I don't... Tamio's Journal is written in a way that says you don't reveal the card that you find. So the person who's playing me doesn't know what I brought to the field. It's not a commander. It's a 60-card deck. It's a 60-card deck. It's not commander. So I really like the fact that I can withhold that I have an off-color card in my hand, then play it. This is an Artifacts Matters card where I can destroy my clues to deal damage directly to the opponent without attacking. So I basically described this as like, oh, these various investigators are trying to find the murderer. They're finding all these clues, and eventually the murderer is revealed, and then the murderer kills the opponent. Oh no. Right down to when I track my clues, I use a Cluedo token. I use a Cluedo card to track my clues. It's good. It's good. I love it. I love it when these kind of things are on theme. I love it when these kind of things are on theme. Things that amuse myself. This deck is actually very slow. This deck is actually very, very slow, but when it works, it's just really fucking funny. I love doing that kind of stuff, having conflict, and it tells a story. It tells a story. Love that. Anyway, we got distracted. Let's look at some of the other... So theme versus theme works well. You can only do so much with a single theme. True. Release to memory. Exile target opponent's graveyard. Oh, just remove their entire graveyard from the game. Each creature card exiled this way, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature. Oh, Okay. You just have a graveyard. You're putting all your cards into your graveyard so you can summon it later. Well, just all of those cards are now gone. Sorry. Bye. Swift reconfiguration. Flash. Enchant creature or vehicle. Enchanted permanent is a vehicle artifact with crew 5. Oh. It turns people into vehicles. Wild. Access denied. Counter target spell. Create 1/X/1/1 colorless Thopter creature artifacts with flying where X is that spell's mana value. Okay, okay. Cyberdrive Awakener. This is basically a Samus like super suit. Look at this. How cool. It has flying. Other artifact creatures you control get flying. And when Cyberdrive Awaken enters the battlefield, until end of turn, each non-creature artifact you control becomes a creature. Oh my god. So, say theoretically, all those clues that I was making in that other deck, when this enters the battlefield, all those clues become flying 4/4 creatures. Terrifying. Imposter Mech, which we've seen. Kappa Cannoneer. It's a Blastoise. Here's Ward 4. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on this card. And it can't be blocked. Oh, I see, I see. Mega Blastoise. Yeah. I need to be able to read this the right way up. Sorry. Katsumasa, the animator. Katsumasa, the animator. Legendary creature, Moonfolk Artificer with flying. 2 and a blue. Until end of turn, target non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature. And gains flying. It's a vehicle. If it's not a vehicle, it has power toughness 1/1 until end of turn. Okay. Kind of like Convoke, but you still get to do the effect of the artifact. And then Research Thief, which I think we've seen. Flash. Oh, it's a flash one. Flying. Whenever an artifact creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Ooh. Universal Surveillance, which was the art card that we saw elsewhere. Improvise, you can make it cheaper by paying other cards to just draw cards. Gotta head out. No problem. Thanks for hanging. A supercharged, and then it goes back into cards that you can actually find in regular Kamigawa and bonus bits and pieces, which I won't go through because it is getting late and I want to rest my voice. We have been streaming for 3 hours and I have to do tabletop tomorrow. So thank you very much for everybody who's joined. We are going to stay on the line though. Don't bail just yet. We are going to pass on the love to somebody else. Whew. This was fun. As I say, I've never done a card pack opening stream before. Let me switch to this so you can see my full face. There we go. This is better. Wow. We've never done this kind of thing before, so it's really. I hope that everybody enjoyed me struggling through working out how to do this as a show. But yeah. It's been real fun. Let's pass things over. Oh, to Janice Nemo. Janice Nemo is a fellow VTuber who I've made friends with recently. They are going to be joining me on Saturday to go and play Agents of Hue. They also enjoy tactics games and RPGs and things like that. So let's go pass it on to them. Yeah, they're playing Nocia right now, which is probably one of the coolest games that was on Switch last year that has now been released as a PC game, so it's able to check out. We're going to start that raid. Cool. Love Tabletop streams, they're fun. Nice, I'll be sure to do some more in future. Anyway, I have been your androgynous Android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades. This has been the Neon Costa Twitch channel, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.